Let's go live. It says we're live. Oh my gosh.
Chat room.
This is going to require so much coffee.
Oh, well, we have a plethora of drinks to choose from.
Now we have a landmine.
Yeah, that's going to come over. Wendell's double fisting coffee this afternoon.
I didn't have enough time to make tea, chat. We barely got the live stream out at our scheduled time of 2:03 p.m. I nailed it.
Right on time. Also, before we start, do we want to try some crockpot Pepsi?
I don't think it's ready yet, is it?
It's warm.
How warm should it be?
It's very warm. I don't think it's an exact science. I had to put it off screen so you guys can't see it, but trust, it's crockpot Pepsi. Hang on. I'll get it some.
We're getting off the links with friends with Crockpot Pepsi. What sort of madness is this?
How exciting. What a brave new...
Oh, it's still fizzy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Surprising. So I guess if you don't bring it to a boil, you probably maintain some.
Yeah. It makes a sound.
Yeah, that sound it's making is screaming because of what you've done.
It's unhappiness in a cup.
What you've turned it into when it was supposed to be a delicious sugary drink.
So while we're getting everything going, you should tell your friends that Links with Friends is live and also share in social media because I haven't given Elon Musk any money, so my tweets don't really go anywhere anymore.
This is not warm. You just said
It's been warm for like 10 minutes, though.
It's not warm.
It's not warm at all?
No.
Maybe that's why it's still fizzy.
This is room temperature at best.
This is the first time that I've had soda in 2 years.
Oh, shit.
How's it sitting with you?
It tastes awful.
I'm putting the crock pot on high.
It's not even hot. It just tastes
Yeah,
awful.
Does it taste like water that somebody put some syrup in?
It tastes like a really thin maple syrup.
So I had stopped at the gas station before I came in, and the only thing I could find that was vegan was this.
Strawberry banana.
Like a strawberry banana drink.
Throw it in the crock pot.
You know what else is vegan? Black coffee.
I also brought some tiny things of moonshine if we decide to indulge at the start, and then we can sober up as we go.
I don't know. Maybe perhaps in reaction to a story and or something chat does.
I'm not getting a DUI.
You got time. If you start now, you got time. I'll try one.
What you don't understand, Krista, is you will get arrested no matter what. If there's even the scent of alcohol, it doesn't matter if you're really drunk.
There's also, they make banana pudding ones, which
That's
tragic for
horrific.
you because you like banana pudding. I don't know if these are any good.
Why don't you just pound all three of those? Let's see what happens.
No. Oh, doesn't smell very good.
It's poison. Strong.
It's weird because it tastes like coffee, but then it's got like the bite of alcohol in it.
Oh, is that the coffee? What are the three flavors?
So I got banana pudding, coffee, and then apple pie. I've had apple pie before, but a different, not this brand. I got whatever was at the tiny little gas station.
This is the size that's for alcoholics.
Yeah, you got to stash that in your pocket when you're driving.
David Thomas gave us 10 pounds. It says, happy new arbitrary measurement of entropic increase, everyone. Yes, the entropy of the universe is definitely increasing.
It's not arbitrary. It's solar.
Now, as we usually do with live streams, what we do is when we're doing the stories and talking about it, we'll hold all the super chats and stuff till the end. So if you send us money or do something, we will probably not respond to that until we get to the end of a section. So this is going to be like at least an hour and a half of links.
Yeah,
with
at
friends.
least. Probably closer to 2.
So fun times. And also Happy New Year's. Some of you have already been experiencing New Year's for like 24 hours.
Yeah, someone said, do you have a hangover from the port wine? No, we were on Twitch last night and I was drinking then too, but I was at home. So I could drink more glasses there.
Somebody just pounding the keyboard gave us $4.20.
Thank
I'm
you.
Here for it. Pepsi crock pot.
I put it on a higher setting, so it should warm up a little faster now.
I'm going to say it'll take at least an hour, right?
You think? I guess I did pull out the 2 liter from a cooler. I didn't think about that.
Think about how it was cold. Think
I got
about
it
how
from the gas
long
station.
it takes you to boil water on high on a stovetop.
Yeah. So maybe at the end of this section, we'll just try again.
Something to look forward to.
Fun times. Okay,
Are we ready?
we're ready.
Missing links.
No missing. There's a link to the links in the description, which is on the forum.
People don't read the description.
That is correct.
They never read the description. I like to try to like think of good stuff to put in the description, but I don't know why.
Yeah, if you're normally somebody that experiences links with friends slowly over the rest of the week, you're getting the whole week's episodes in one go, which is also what we have on Patreon and Flowplane. So, like, if you want a preview of what you get subbing, this is it, basically.
Except it's not live.
Yeah, except it's not live.
Well, unfortunately, we're not going to do a roundup again this year. This is just the regular,
This is a regular
the
episode.
last week plus one day of stuff.
Oh, well, do have the Happy News link somewhere, hopefully, in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I didn't add any of that.
Okay.
Oh,
I didn't. I forgot.
there's
completely
no,
about it.
there's no happy stories. It's all sad.
I totally forgot that was in there.
I'll dig that out. It'll be fine. Although I don't know what we'll need to Google, but we'll Google it live. We'll do it
I mean,
live.
we could just throw it up there and scroll through it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway, let's do the usual thing first, which is going to be government news. And I think everybody saw this one coming because we all know that governments do what Apple tells them to do.
The CNBC headline is Apple will sell latest Apple Watch models again after import ban temporarily stopped by the U.S. Appeals Court. So we talked about this last week. Apple may have poached all of the engineers and all of the intellectual property from another company and didn't pay them a dime. Seems pretty
Who,
egregious.
Apple? That doesn't
Yeah.
sound like them. It's just
And-
screwed.
We're doing AI in 2024 for sure, right? Will 2024 be the year that AI consuming its own corpse falters? I don't know, but one thing I do know is that the government and the corporations are going to join forces and make our lives miserable with it.
AI companies would be required to disclose copyrighted training data under new bill. Like food manufacturers are required to disclose all their ingredients. That'll work well. Foreshadowing.
So
It never quite works out the way you expect it to.
the legacy media and all the various like publishing and TV and stuff are terrified because they're irrelevant. They're trying to cling to what they have. And they're successful, usually.
We got a lot of lawyers on staff.
This to me reads also like depending on what kind of AI you're training, it's like you tell us which phone books you memorized the numbers in. And it's like, well, but unless there's made up names and numbers in the phone book, that's purely factual. That's not copyrightable. Like if the AI is so good, it will distill down what it has read into the pure crucible of actual facts, then it doesn't matter.
But if facts are what we measure, like if only the truth can protect you, then I think all the mainstream media has a great case. And our Supreme Court, we learned that they were maybe a bit naughty this year. I wonder if Santa brought them anything after their corruption.
I'm sure Santa brought them many things because of their corruption.
But in their annual report, they did not choose to focus on that. In fact, it wasn't mentioned at all. Instead, guess what they want to talk about?
Chief Justice Center's Supreme Court annual report on AI's dangers. Yeah, they don't understand how to regulate or apply laws to AI, which is weird because usually they just say, oh, Congress should make a law to do this. We shouldn't be inventing new laws. It's weird.
I don't think they've seen that episode of Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh my God. USA Today has the worst web design.
Is it one of those ones where you click off to the
Yeah,
side
anything
and it
outside
disappears?
the white box is a show me the homepage. And we have, of course, everybody's favorite topic, Donald Trump. And
Not mine.
you can't have an end of the year going into the election year news cycle unless you dredge up a lot of old stuff about that.
Former Trump fixer Michael Cohen acknowledges submitting AI-generated fake case citations. This would not have been a news story if it were anybody else. It's like random podunk lawyer submitted fake generated citations. And
But that was a story. We did another story about a whole law firm where got in trouble for that.
But imagine how often that's happening and nobody's doing a report about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be insane at this point. He says that he obviously wasn't representing himself. So he submitted those things to his lawyer who then submitted them. So he claims it's the lawyer's fault, which there may be some truth to that.
But surely it should have been caught at some point before.
That's what I'm saying. Like if I gave my lawyer, if I like wrote on a napkin, it's like I get to do what I want and hand it to my lawyer. It's like, here, submit this into evidence. My lawyer should probably be like, no.
You should not do this. This will upset the judge.
But obviously that guy, his lawyers probably are just paid to let him do what he wants to some degree.
Wow, I think you hit one of the keywords in the algorithm.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, look at that.
Interesting.
That was DT, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real-time censorship. Well,
Everybody take a drink.
we're going to come up with a code word. Because we have one other story. But yeah, killer robots, that could be the theme for 2024. Because as we've learned, the military, after saying that, well, we probably won't do killer robots, has then said, we don't talk about killer robots. Which means we have killer robots. So some lawmakers maybe want to try to do something about it.
The headline from TechCrunch is Massachusetts lawmakers mull a killer robot bill. And it talks about things like Boston Dynamics and Spot and how some people have mounted a paintball gun on the back of Spot and how do we regulate this and who wants to do this. Interestingly, the bill says we're not going to do anything with law enforcement. This is just randos.
Yeah. So,
Because randos can afford $70,000 for a Spot robot.
well, but it's going to come down. So killer robot control is not about stopping killer robots, much like other forms of control. It's about creating a government monopoly on killer robots.
And Boston Dynamics is helping write the law. We call that regulatory capture, chat.
And there may be no place safe from the killer robots. Where can we flee? Possibly the moon. Although I suspect the killer robots will beat us to the moon.
U.S. commits to landing an international astronaut on the moon, probably from Japan.
I mean, that's cool and all, but we've been to the moon. We've already conquered the moon. Our flag's on the moon. Why aren't we on Mars?
And why aren't we sending our own people to the moon?
Wow, we have some people in chat playing level 1 bingo.
Oh.
True super fans.
I don't remember what all we put on it now, but I'll try and hit some for you guys.
Even if you didn't buy the shirt, you can go to store.level1tax.com and look at it. Yeah, it's fine.
Don't tell them that. You can only use official bingo cards.
Well, it doesn't change either. You'd need like randomized ones. Apparently, there's a whole algorithm for that. You've told me about that now.
And the man who invented it drove him insane.
I couldn't see that about bingo.
I mean, maybe that wasn't what drove him insane, but he went insane shortly after bingo.
Yeah.
Maybe the big bingo did that to keep him from going to the competitors. Although I think it's kind of common knowledge at this point. Anyway, another thing that's really common is self-love. And
Wait for it to dip down again.
well, I'm trying to tiptoe around it. But in some places, it's becoming much more difficult.
The 3KRTV, which is a local access station in Montana's big headline is that this adult website has blocked access in Montana. And they have an article about it, and they don't seem very happy about it.
So this is not anything surprising. Everybody knew that Montana created this law, but there was a deadline of January 1st. So they've cut it off.
It's interesting, too, because if you read the text of the bill and you copy paste all of the stuff and it's like, oh, this is causing these specific harms, you can make the same arguments about Citizens United causing the exact same kinds of harms.
We're just going to have a Montana internet.
It would be equally or difficult to measure both of those things.
Montana has some beautiful parks. Maybe people will get outside.
And self-love in the parks is what you're saying, right?
No,
Fine.
just enjoying.
Krista's advice on this new year is to get out there in the park and expose yourself to hikers.
Please don't.
You ever have a weird encounter on the parks?
No, I fear more walking across a parking lot than I do walking in a wilderness area for the most part.
Usually you don't get attacked by bears in parking lots, though.
No, but bears are pretty cowardly.
Okay.
Black bears, to be clear.
Now,
Grizzlies are a different animal.
There is no headline here. Do you remember what this was about?
I do not.
This is the oh yes.
So this is
This was the
It's a warning
foreshadowing.
letter.
you know what? You know who this is not going to be useful to? The people in Montana.
Yeah, no. This is Amazon.com Inc. This is a letter. This is a copy of the letter sent by the Federal Trade Commission?
FDA.
No, FDA. So the FDA sent this letter to Amazon and said, I'm paraphrasing here, but, dear Captain Jassy, We bought all this stuff, which was included Genergy, Big Guy's Male Energy Supplement,
Big
Mittens.
Guy's Male Energy Supplement.
Yes,
It's not even subtle.
Yeah, round 2 and a whole bunch of other things. And these were marketed as diet supplements, but we checked them for active ingredients and we found that, there are controlled substances as active ingredients. You could just buy it on Amazon. And so they're unhappy about that because it wasn't listed on the ingredients list. And if it had been listed on the ingredients list, then it would not be a dietary supplement. And so this is not sold by Amazon, but fulfilled by Amazon. So this is third-party sellers. But this is exactly the sort of dumpster fire that we've talked about a bunch of times where Amazon is like, we want to do our own fulfillment. I think Amazon would have been in the clear here if they weren't forcing their sellers to actually use Amazon fulfillment. But since they are, they've opened themselves
They're an
up.
accomplice.
They've opened themselves up to a world of hurt.
But in case it's not clear, the things that they found in there were in fact prescription Viagra. Like it's
Well, big male enhancement. I mean, come on.
Well, it's supposed to be for energy, quote unquote, but you think you're getting
Vital
some
male energy.
herbal supplement, but no, this is just the drug Viagra packaged as a different name.
Ironically, very much cheaper than what you would get from the actual prescription drugs.
Well, I think that one's that can be
Copyright or whatever.
generic, right? Out of patent or whatever.
It's still expensive.
Well, just go to a gas station or go to Amazon.
Go to a gas station. Pillar of the community.
And perhaps this is a little bit of AI scaremongering to be mixed in, to be blended gently into the Chinese scaremongering for a beautiful new roast.
Hooray.
China is using AI to ramp up spying, the U.S. says. So, okay, even if this isn't real, think about this. AI is a tool. It's like, here's a big old data set that we have on you that's just your location data and stuff that you've typed into a search browser and just a volume of unstructured information that would be impossible to search otherwise. But if we give it to AI, then all of a sudden we can actually get a lot of really interesting stuff to come out of it from AI. If we were to break into healthcare providers, for example, and download your health records, maybe get some retinal scans from the last time you went to an eye doctor, which is a thing that actually happens with the Social Security Administration, like they actually do collect your retinal scans. It's going to be a lot harder to do espionage. It's going to be a lot harder to do to catch spies. It's going to be a lot harder to do that kind of stuff. And it's very easy to search these massive data sets now. So even if this isn't real, we are building something very dangerous.
I wonder how our government knows that's so easy.
Yeah.
They're just that good at spying on China.
It's the Spider-Man meme where things are pointing at other things.
Regular oracles, those guys. And China is also, a couple of years ago, China cracked down on the video gaming industry and everybody was like, oh God, but they've been relenting since then. But it seems that maybe their recent economic problems and demographic problems have caused them to go back to that board and revise it a bit.
China to tighten controls on video gaming industry, prompting sell-off in Tencent and NetEase shares. And this is from the South China Morning Post. So, this is the softest take on this.
Yeah.
And it seems a little fire and brimstone if you're a video gaming company.
Now, they seem to be going after, similar to what the EU did, the gambling aspects of modern gaming, which is insanely addictive for some people.
I mean, I'm kind of okay with that part, but
I mean, people at some point have to have some agency and just
yeah.
deal with their own issues. But who's asking us for our opinion, Krista? No one.
Literally nobody.
You know what else I would say is that maybe we don't need surveillance on every single thing in the world, including the few spaces which are supposed to be left without surveillance so that we can be alone and be with nature.
Seoul to increase AI-backed surveillance to prevent crime in parks because people go to parks.
And people get brutally beaten in parks, apparently.
You keep looking at me, but listen.
Because you go to parks.
I do go to parks.
I go outside even less now since the tick incident.
You just don't know. They could be lurking.
You think, you know what? They should turn these cameras against the ticks.
Yeah, I mean, I was really getting into the whole home.
Gardening, yeah.
Yeah,
That's very relaxing.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to dig up this stump. I'm going to plant some bushes here. Now it's just like, nope, burn it all.
You could well, just treat your clothes with some your outside clothes with permethrin.
Chemicals and then.
I mean, it's it's
is this,
tick disease or cancer. So I mean, you pick your poison.
Is this weird headache I have now? Those chemicals lodging in my blood-brain barrier? I don't know.
Well, if you're ready to get away from it all, live in a big city, in a place where it's nothing like the place that you're from, and just start over, maybe Korea would be a good option.
Korea to launch a new digital Nomad visa on January 1. Basically, if you can prove that you make over about $65,000 a year US, you can come to live in Korea for a year with an option to renew for another year.
That's kind of cool.
Although you do have to pay double taxes if you're from the United States.
Yeah, there's no escaping Uncle Sam.
The United States does not tolerate you going to another place and not paying taxes. And we all know that the governments in 2024 will be going after Apple and Google, as they perpetually do. Seems like the app stores will be one of the big battlegrounds, and Japan is the first to attack.
Japan to crack down on Apple and Google App Store monopolies. Is this by opening up side loading and that sort of stuff? Nope. It has entirely to do with the payment systems. Japan is going to force Apple and Google to allow app developers to offer whatever payment system they want, not necessarily taking a cut, which is interesting. It's an interesting approach.
But they also want competitive app stores to be allowed.
Yes, but they didn't have a way to implement that, really.
And India has also made some important decisions about what will and will not be tolerated in the coming year.
India to block crypto exchanges, Binance and Kraken websites. Basically, they're saying, hey, this could be used for funds we can't track, so let's turn it off.
So it was already banned. You might be thinking, hey, wasn't that already banned in India? Yes, but you could still get to the websites. Now they're saying, no, ISPs must block the websites because these foolish people are still trying to use them.
Pretty soon, Twitter/X is not going to be allowed to talk about it either, because that's the thing that happened.
Speaking of things you're not allowed to talk about, Apple is one of the few companies, we got to give them a little bit of credit here, who will go to great lengths to tell you, look at this.
It's so small, but it took me a long time to finish it.
They will tell you if you are being spied upon and if you are being possibly hacked with malware that targets their stuff. And India says no.
India targets Apple over its phone hacking notifications. Basically, Apple notified people that India was hacking, that their iPhones were being hacked, and India has taken issue with that.
Now, we don't know who was doing the hacking. Just happened to be that critics of the Modi government were all hacked.
That's so weird.
It's weird how that happens, though, sometimes, complete coincidence.
Isn't that weird, chat? I don't know. Is that weird? That's kind of weird. Some of you are there now. Dare you say anything?
What a weird position. Like, if you're the person who gets called up in front of the government, like, what do? Do you just say, yes, whatever you want? Then you got to go back to Apple, and they might say no.
I always like how that was depicted in the Foundation series from Asimov. Whenever you had to go in front of Empire to explain yourself, the way that Asimov described it is just like you say the wrong thing, and they're just going to kill you.
Well, I don't support that kind of thing. But maybe there's some stuff in our world where, maybe we should consider something like that, because some things are just blatantly evil.
Worldcoin is no longer offering orb verification in India, Brazil, and France. This was the cryptocurrency that doesn't have any intrinsic value. It's like, you scan your eyes, we give you some math tokens. Doesn't that sound like a deal? Here, have some math tokens.
I don't want your math tokens or Stanley nickels.
Would you like some Chuck E. Cheese bucks instead? We've got that as an alternative.
Is Chuck E. Cheese still in business?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Remember, they just got rid of their animatronics because of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Oh, right. My younger cousins, they like, it's like Jungle Gyms. It's like a place where there's a bunch of inflatables.
Never even seen that.
Yeah.
Well, pizza and inflatables. So weird.
Yeah, like the jumpy bounce houses.
No, but I'm saying, like, you take the food in there, it's going to get in the inflatables, like all the cracks. And how do you clean
the
that?
kids aren't supposed to take it in there, but I'm sure it happens.
It's going to be all over them.
You remember when parks used to have actual jungle gyms? They were like welded structures you could climb on.
They still have those.
Those are amazing.
Yeah.
I think those are less and less, though, because just as soon as a kid falls teeth first onto one side of those, it's really bad.
No, our parks have a couple of them still. They're still a thing.
Well, I mean, they might not be for long, because soon there's going to be a camera on those 24 hours a day. And like Wendell says, as soon as there's a horrible video of a kid losing some teeth, people are going to be like, we got to do something about this, which is exactly what has led to this horror.
Police to be able to run face recognition searches on 50 million driving license holders. Apparently, this police force didn't get the memo about what happened with that when they did it in Detroit. Spoiler, it did not end well.
So if you have a driver's license, you are automatically being compared to all criminal faces.
Oh.
And not well.
Oh, no.
Not accurately.
But remember, Dark Krista exists, the one who kills people.
Yeah, like
Now, lucky for you, she did have some tattoos on her face.
So yeah, maybe that'll throw it off.
Although if she gets those removed
Then I'm
while
screwed.
she's in prison.
it's not great.
And the UK has a new plan for all this e-waste, which ultimately is going to be your problem because this is going to raise prices.
Retailers to pay for consumers' e-waste recycling from 2026 under UK plans. Basically, you could take your cables and your broken toaster and your old stuff to a retailer, and they have to deal with it, which seems not fabulous for retailers.
But not only that, if you can't make it down to the Best Buy to drop those off, they'll come to your house to get it.
That seems terrible.
How efficient is that? What are we paying those guys? I'm going to drive 50 miles to get a lightning cable. And this is a dark way of getting more power and more visibility into our lives because they're saying like, hey, these people had behaviors that led to something bad. So we should monitor all behavior and you should report all behavior to your loving government so we can stop this madness.
Loving.
Coroner calls on Google and Amazon to act after British woman has...
Unalived herself.
Yeah, and it turns out it's from Amazon. She ordered stuff from Amazon that wasn't,
She learned about it on Google.
Yeah. So
She planned this out. This was well thought out. She had some friends online who she said she entered into a pact with. They didn't say what happened to the friends. You think they backed out?
yeah,
I bet they did.
Cowards. But yeah, the idea here is that if you start to search for certain things, certain keywords, or certain phrases, then it gets reported automatically.
I can attest to this because I was working on something that is mental health related, and I was looking up the name of one of the organizations that was involved, and I kept getting like Google popping up, being like, "Please call this suicide hotline." I was like, "I'm going to go on a list for this."
In the UK, it's not going to ask you to call. People are just going to show up at your house, and they might shoot you.
that's what happens here.
How dare you consider this? This is our job.
No, if you don't let them in.
That privilege belongs to us.
If you don't let them in to check on your well-being, then they might kill you. And artificial intelligence will certainly be the battleground in the governments of the world for 2024. And of course, we've already got some disagreements in the EU itself.
The EU competition chief defends Artificial Intelligence Act after Macron's attack. Basically,
No.
I mean...
Well, Macron has sort of patterned France to become an AI hotbed. He's like, bring them in. Don't worry about regulation. Don't worry about not putting guns on them. Whatever you want to do, just come on in here and give us those tax dollars. And the EU's like, maybe not, bro.
Slow down there, champ.
Slow your roll.
And he says, wait a minute, what about my sovereignty? And the EU just laughs.
Bless your heart.
Laughs in EU.
What are you thinking, sir? And I didn't even realize we probably did this story, but I didn't remember. But there was a ban on cryptocurrency, but now it's being relinquished.
Nigerian central bank lifts ban on crypto trading.
Oh, I can finally send some crypto to that Nigerian prince.
Yeah, it turns out that was how some stuff was happening easily, and then they turned it off. And it's just, what do you want us to do? Oh, sorry, that was a significant part of the economy. Our bad.
They do have a terrible time getting money out of that country because they're always asking me to help.
Yeah. I know so many princes over there. Someone's yelling on the street.
Filthy New Year's revelers.
How dare they?
Get the boiling Pepsi and pour it out the window.
Oh, yeah, we have to have some in a minute.
And once again, we'll talk about the Indian journalists. And there was some question from the Indian government mostly who were saying like, no, we didn't do that. And how dare you accuse us of that?
Amnesty confirms Apple warning. Indian journalists' iPhones were infected with Pegasus spyware.
And not only were infected, this was on December 27th. And at that point, still actively
are.
being infected. Yeah. New cases were popping up even after they got caught, whoever they are.
Oh, yeah, we have a story later about the exploit chain for some of these, and it's incredible. It's an incredible piece of security engineering that makes me think that Apple iPhones are even more insecure than I ever thought they were.
This headline was one that I read and I went, ooh.
This one?
Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, well,
Who's in trouble?
it turned out to be a bit of a nothing burger.
Oh, they won't tell us.
Yeah.
Nobody's giving out this name.
But it was an exciting headline when it first popped up earlier this week.
And I'm not surprised by this at all. I think they'll pretty much give an account to whoever asks for it, right?
Yeah.
As evidenced by the robocalls that we're getting. No one's paying attention to who's using the services.
The NBC News headline is U.S. intelligence officials determined the Chinese spy balloon used a U.S. internet provider to communicate. Basically, when it was flying over America, it wirelessly hopped on an American communications network and sent lots of high-speed data back to China that it had collected from other stuff.
Well, it was also pulling real-time navigation data.
Yeah.
So it was using
Using Google Maps to get over.
something like that.
That's against the Google Maps API terms of service, okay?
That would never happen.
And I believe this begins the breaches and hacks. So we'll just quickly go through all the bad news.
Cyber attack targets Albanian parliament's data system, halting its work.
Now, they claim they didn't get anything. They caught it early. I don't know if I believe that.
Well, it was disruptive.
Yeah, they shut everything down to try and stop it. So, and if you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm going to make some changes in 2024. I'm going to really level up my stalking. You know what? My wife divorced me last year, and I feel like I should still be a part of her life no matter what. Well, maybe don't run out and get a bunch of AirTags because they're making changes.
Researchers come up with a better idea to prevent AirTag stalking. This is a cryptographic thing. Basically, instead of constantly broadcasting it with Bluetooth low energy, they've got a way to do it where each device gets a little piece of the key. And so if you are using it to stalk somebody, it's not going to be terribly useful. But if you lose something and you go into like lost and found mode, then it would be easier to find the AirTag, just based on the number of devices it interacts with.
But also by the time it gets the full key, it's going to be like, this one's been around for a day. Maybe think about this one, because this is not something you walk past in a bus station. This has been with you. Whereas the false positives were annoying before. Now, this is what you were alluding to, the most advanced exploit ever. The crazy thing about this is that it uses completely undocumented memory registers in the iPhone. Who would know about that?
That's so weird.
Who would have access to that information and could use it quietly without ever giving itself away for, how many years did they say this?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah. 4-year campaign backdoored iPhones
Right,
using possibly the most advanced exploit ever. And so it's a chain of like 12 exploits to escape. This did not require any user interaction, and it was damn near undetectable. The only reason they detected it is because it was using undocumented hardware features of the iPhone processor.
Attack chain. That's more like a attack rope.
Yeah, this
So long.
like, at what point do you look at this and say this was a deliberate set of weaknesses designed specifically for the intelligence community to exploit?
About the third paragraph.
This is one to save and send to your friends because it's like, oh, I'm fine with it if
Friends.
if the if the NSA does this, and it's like, this wasn't the NSA. This was what was it, Saudi Arabia?
How do we know? We don't know who it was.
It could be anybody, yeah.
I totally suspect this to be our alphabet agencies.
Well, I mean, obviously they're doing it, but if you're okay with them doing it, understand that literally the entire rest of the world can also do it, and then maybe realize we shouldn't build this in the first place.
Also, if you're okay with them doing it, realize that you're a horrible human being and you shouldn't vote. And Microsoft has another terrible problem. They have just simply turned it off to get around this.
Microsoft disables MSI-X protocol handler abused in malware attacks. This was the app installer protocol. So if you watched our videos on WinGet or Chocolatey, and you can click a link and it takes you to the Microsoft Store to install an application, it turns out that bypasses certain checks. So again, if you upload malware to the Microsoft Store, you're going to have an easier time than if you distribute malware on the web. Well, no longer, because they've broken the links that work. I mean, not that the Microsoft Store worked in the first place. If you want the updated app installer and you go to the App Store and you type in app installer, it doesn't actually give you the app installer, which is amazing.
Now, you might not be aware, although at this point it's pretty common knowledge, that most of our media is contained inside giant conglomerates who own it's a small number of them that own literally everything. And not only is that bad for, free speech and
Creativity.
controlling everything, yeah, but it's also bad because it consolidates data in one central location, which, of course, gets hacked.
CBS and Parliament-owned National Amusements say that it was hacked because it was horribly insecure in a single location, like you said.
82,128 people, and they got the usual phishing, SIM swapping mother load of information.
Fabulous.
Good job.
Bad news.
And poor Rockstar. It's been a tough year for them. They're going to be fine because they're going to release that new game, and
Everyone's going to buy it, even if it sucks.
Yeah, so
Even if they release it where you have to pay by hour to play it.
they're probably not too sad, but I'm sure that they are angry about this, considering the level of control that they have and demand over their products.
GTA 5 source code reportedly leaked online a year after the Rockstar hack. So this is encouraging, though, because maybe we'll have a version of GTA 5 that works on private servers or offline or
Never.
without any of the Rockstar Social Club nonsense.
The social club is such garbage.
This is nice, though, because GTA 5 really is a part of our, the historical record, whatever. And so this will be nice that there's a path to preserving it now.
Does the future need to know about GTA 5? I'm sure GTA 25 will be right there, and they can go look all the way back.
Well, they look at GTA 5 and they take that as like a real historical record. And they're like, everyone just went around shooting each other all the time.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Well, there's some of that.
Not
And
like GTA.
I probably should have led with this one because this is one of the less exciting hacks this week. You see these phone company hacks pretty much perpetually.
Ryan Reynolds, no. Mint Mobile discloses new data breach exposing customer data. They set up a customer service hotline, which is not a toll-free number, but Ryan Reynolds is going to have to get on it. He's going to have to get her done.
Think they called him in over the holiday?
Yeah, they probably did. It's like, we've got an incident we're facing. At first, I thought this was related to the T-Mobile hack because, don't they share some infrastructure?
I think they use the same network.
Yeah, and so it's just like, is this breach a result of the T-Mobile breach being so bad? I wouldn't be surprised if the two are related.
Well, we still don't have the details of exactly how that hack happened. I mean, it's probably just phishing, but one way to guarantee that you're going to get hacked is to leave a default password. And you would think that if you were in charge of something very important like infrastructure, you might say that, hey, we should never do that. And yet.
U.S. water utilities were hacked after leaving their default password set to 1111, cybersecurity officials say.
It annoys me because who needs water, right? Like, why are people upset by this?
In at least one instance, though, the equipment was secure, but it was so secure they couldn't use it. So they reset it. And when they reset it, within a few minutes of it being the default password, there were other people in.
Wow.
It was some sort of Iranian-linked outfit which took credit for it, and they said as long as the war continues, they will continue trying to destroy our water.
If you just keep extra water on hand, you should. That's a good prep to have.
I don't drink anything out of the tap.
That's true. I forget you're weird.
Always got stockpiled water, although I go through it so quickly.
I think you're supposed to have 2 gallons per day per person for up to a week.
That's if you're using it for things other than drinking.
Yeah.
I just won't wash.
I'll let it ride.
Although I do have to give the cats water.
Yeah.
And they're terrible about water because they put their paws in it and get like
Why do they do that? Cricket doesn't do that.
Because they're stupid.
Yeah. Cricket does shove. He will only drink out of Ruse Bowl and he'll shove his whole little head down in there and then his whole face is wet.
Because you might get a visit.
Uh-oh. Someone asked the other day.
I don't know if I think the filters might catch it though.
Yeah, Boiler Snake has been back just briefly. It was snowing earlier.
Well, if you're like me and you love a good roguelike, one of the granddaddies of the deck builder genre is Slay the Spire. What a classic. Unfortunately, if you are currently playing one of the mods that redoes the whole game, you're in trouble.
Steam Game Mod breached to push password stealing malware. But when you dig into it, it's not actually the Steam version or even the Steam Workshop version of the mod. It was the standalone version that was compromised.
Not great.
It was which mod was it?
Don't get outside the walled garden. It's called Downfall.
Downfall, yeah. Anybody in chat play Slay the Spire?
Of course they do. These are people of
taste
and class.
Is that? Oh, that's the last story.
That's
our last for
oh
this
my gosh,
section,
we've
yeah.
got so many people that we have to thank. In reverse order, the guy that gave us 420 gave us another 420. 3 gallons per user or per person. You need water to cook. That's true. Lazy Hoplite says, love you guys for 2024. Wish you a merry, merciful AI greetings from Swedenland. Cheers.
Sweden.
Sayers the Artist says, how much would it cost to get a big mouse pad with autographs from y'all? We should probably make some of those and send them to the store. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that
Thank
is a
you.
good idea. I don't know how many people would buy them, but
The answer is $75.
Tala Ahmad, thank you. I think if I got your name pronounced correctly. And Albert Yu, thank you.
Thank you.
Can't wait for my GPD WinMax 2 to arrive. That's what this says. The 2023 version, and now it's 2024.
it's behind.
Yeah. Why didn't they call it the 2024 version? Because most of the, I mean, they announced it in August, but they didn't ship most of them until the last couple of
It
weeks.
was manufactured in 2023. That makes sense to me.
The CPU was, but they had a hard time getting, like, they were short on components because the supply chain
Because
for all
of
that
everything.
is just,
Gestures wildly. Are we ready to try some hot crock pot?
You think it's ready?
yeah, we can
It's
give it a
pretty
try.
warm. I moved it up.
Just stick your finger in here. Are we gonna pour out our existing Pepsi because it'll make it cold?
Or do you want just another cup, or
I
go
don't know.
pour it out?
Here.
This one's dwindled.
I bid it.
Did you do the donations?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. You are awesome. Oh, Josh A, in case somebody needs about 350. Thank you, Josh A.
What fast food item could you still get with $3.50? You get like one basic burger.
Biker Chris has been watching you for a good while. Thanks for entertainment and the news. I mean, links with friends. Oh yeah, that's warm. Tennis. Keep safe and well. A tenner each. Share it equally and none for the boiler snake. You can hear the boiler snake right now. It's on and doing stuff. This is that does not smell appetizing.
Smells great.
It doesn't sound appetizing. Doesn't smell appetizing. Probably, I mean, it looks like Pepsi, I'm sure.
I mean, it's kind of reddish.
It's not fizzy anymore, if you're wondering, chat.
The caramel color, that's
It's pretty.
it's warm, but it's not like
I mean,
Burning.
I got it on the hottest setting.
you don't need the cardboard cozy for it. Are we gonna wait? I don't know. I want to get it while it's warm.
We're going to do it all together, chat. And then we go
Okay.
on to the next section of the news.
It still smells like Pepsi. All right, we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's not as repulsive as I expected it to be.
It doesn't taste. You don't taste the Pepsi really.
I mean, I do.
This is deeply unsatisfying.
It's kind of medicinal at this point, right?
There was a video we were talking about from Tasting History where he did Dr. Pepper, and I could kind of see where Dr. Pepper would taste better hot.
Well, there's no reason for anybody to do this ever.
No, Pepsi's not good. Whoever said that on Twitter a couple months ago, you're lying.
Is there any chance of setting up a video of setting up an ESP32 with Ubuntu? I'm having so many troubles. I don't know. Maybe. Always watching the channel. I'll come back. Happy New Year's, especially Ryan. Especially to Ryan FM. Why? Wait.
FM, but with a heart smiley face.
What does it say? Except or especially?
Especially.
It does say especially. Especially to Ryan FM smart.
Did you mess up? Did you have one chance to type out your donation message and you screwed it up?
That's madness.
Ready with real sugar Pepsi? I don't know. Yeah, this is just from the gas station. I got a 2-liter. We didn't put the full 2-liter in because I didn't think we would like it that well, and I'm glad we didn't do that.
You expect to like it?
I didn't expect to like it, but you never know. Sometimes things change, Sometimes you surprise yourself. We were really thinking we were going to like, a few years ago, we tried, for the Drunk News, we did the White Claws, remember? And we were like, oh, that'll be great because it's just sparkling water, but they were not good at all. And they didn't really, you didn't even get goofy on that one.
I didn't think those would be great. Those were as nasty as I expected them to be.
This crockpot Pepsi is pretty nasty, but it
Yeah,
could
I'm
also
not
be that
into
it's
that.
been a very long time since I've had any soda.
No, it's just nasty.
It is just nasty.
It's so bad.
I like to have a Pepsi when I go out to eat, and this is not good.
Is everybody ready for the next section of the news? We got
This one's
business.
a little short.
Now, CES is coming up. And so the only stuff that we have really is like the pre-CES leaks where every company's trying to get like a one-up on other companies. So this is all basically worthless until after CES.
What a consumerist outlook.
Random keyboard pounding gave us another 420. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it says, Ryan, you still got that P365 on you.
I've never owned a P365. You're creating false narratives. I don't care anything without a manual safety.
It went exactly the way I wanted it to, so it was written
Heart-faced.
correctly. Perfect.
It's like this, that like when I see that emoji, it's like,
Thank you all. All right. Now on with the next section of news, starting with some GTX. Oh, well, no. Gimpy China.
shit.
Gimpy China. What an amazing username. Donating to Boiler Snake Conservancy Foundation. I love the boiler. I didn't like the
there.
boiler when we first moved into the building. I love the boiler now. Mainly because it's so inexpensive.
And expressive.
Happy New Year, etc. Thanks for everything, especially the sketches. Sean Underscropey. Tastes like tofu. I do enjoy all the content. Live streams are the best. Need you all in top form for the drunk stream. Yes, yes. Okay, we're gonna go to do the news now.
This
News
isn't
time.
really a drunk stream. I've had one little tiny thing about
But it
alcohol.
could be 1/3 of a drunk stream if you would just pound those other two.
Yeah, but I gotta drive after, so I can't really go too crazy. I bought other ones if you want to try one.
I'll drop you off.
I'm also still recovering from the other thing. So, Gamers Nexus gave us $50. Complete the phrase snake underscore boiler snake boiler.
Snake underscore.
So thanks, Gamers
Snake
Nexus.
on a plane.
I don't understand that reference to you.
No. Is it maybe it's like a litmus test? He's like testing us in some way.
I won't be tested. All right. So China, they're not allowed to have anything good anymore because the U.S. government is trying to control chips, which is wild because they literally make them over there.
Seems like petulant children flailing their arms around.
It's like, you have to make the chips, but don't you dare use them, young man. And so Nvidia, because they understand that China is a massive market, has tiptoed as close to the line. I think their toenail was probably at least a millimeter over the line.
Yeah.
On
But
this
only because
one.
they don't clip their toenails.
Yeah. Nvidia slowed the RTX 4090 GPU by 11% to make it 100% legal for export to China. Now, if you remember, the guy in the U.S. State Department, he said, Nvidia, don't do this. Because
We all know what you're doing.
yeah. And it's like, we're just going to ban this GPU. But so far, it has not been banned. You can get a RTX 4090D for use in China. But it turns out that's probably why a lot of the 4090 prices have been creeping up lately, is because the supply has been exhausted because suppliers have been stocking up on 4090s expecting this ban to happen, and the suppliers are not going to comply with the export ban. It's like, I just happen to have a warehouse in San Jose that's just going to ship a whole bunch of GPUs to China for an extra $200 per unit. Yeah, that's a thing that's going to happen.
They also point out that some slight overclocking could probably get it up to those previous levels. Good job. Good job, Nvidia.
We've apparently failed some sort of test that says that we must be an AI.
Oh, shit. Well, there was someone for a while in our comments who was convinced me and Ryan were robots that Wendell built, or they were trying to like spread that misinformation.
I wish that were true. Just turn me off.
Why was I built to feel pain?
Well,
Amber, Amber's here. She was at the office briefly. I told her to come get some crockpot Pepsi because we got a bunch more.
oh, I bet she's just pounding the door down.
Yeah, I was like, you should come up for a second. She was like, oh, that's okay.
What a rare holiday treat. Crockpot Pepsi.
Well, I might not be a robot, but from now on, everything that we buy will have a little bit of robot in it, and Microsoft wants to be at the forefront.
Exclusive Microsoft Ready's next-gen AI-focused Surface 10 Pro and Surface laptop with ARM chips and design upgrades for 2024. This is just PR swill nonsense. There is absolutely nothing of value in this article
But
at all.
don't you want to purchase this now?
Now, so the chip with AI thing probably means Meteor Lake. It could also mean Hawk Point from AMD, because that's their big change from 7000 series to 8000 series. But we're gonna have to wait and see what they actually announce at CES, because it's just madness.
Speak of the devil, she may be appearing.
Well, one thing we know that it won't have is Windows 10, because those days are over. Microsoft is ready for you to transition to the new one.
It's officially dead. Oh, look at that.
Oh, look who it is, chat. Some of you guys won't.
try the crock pot Pepsi.
Okay. Here's a cup. Go pour. There's a ladle there, and then come on screen so they can see it. I used to have the ladle that was the.
I still have that.
I can't find mine. I don't know where it was. I had to
great.
bring my normal ladle. You can just put it up on the thing on the desk. It's fine.
Oh, look at this. We've got an interlude.
I don't know.
Were you watching downstairs? Okay, I wondered.
While I was editing a forum post.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to try this. I need to know.
It's not. It's not
bad.
great. Just spoiler.
It's really bad.
It's what you expect it to be, which is terrible.
I mean, it's
Like
somehow
a nice
beyond.
big swig.
You said you haven't had pop in 2 years? I haven't had pop in like 5 years, probably. Haven't had Pepsi or anything.
They can't see you. They can't see your face to enjoy it.
Okay. Stand back here a little bit.
There you go. Let them try it. Mmm. That tastes like holiday cheer.
I wasn't expecting what. It's better than I was expecting, honestly.
I
It's not
agree.
terrible, but it's
Yeah.
not great.
It's nothing you want, but
Have
it's
you
not
ever
as
heard of
bad.
the sale or whatever it's called?
What is that?
It's like this holiday apple cider drink. It's kind of bad like this.
That's kind of bad.
It's going to give me
No, I
I
nothing.
thought you were going to
I
get
thought it
more.
would get better. I thought it would get better.
It doesn't. No.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's so bad.
I don't remember if I did the intro for this yet, but you know what? Let's just read the story.
We'll just read it.
Microsoft is ending support for Windows 10 and could send 240 million PCs to landfills. No, those PCs will run Linux just fine.
But people will still throw them away.
This is disguised as a concern article, but is actually just trolling to get people to spend money on computers, because the part of the economy that's like, let's buy stuff on the computers or computer parts and stuff, it's not doing great right now.
And honestly, we just had very few stories this week.
It's a lot of like fluff. These are marketing
Yeah,
pieces.
these are PR stories, and I just threw them in there because what else are we going to talk about?
Crockpot Pepsi, obviously.
Well, I've got. Which would you choose if we want to play a fun after dinner amusement?
LG's new ultra lightweight grab laptops include some OLED screens and an AI boost. This is literally just an unpaid ads for like, stay tuned for CES.
Disappear?
AI
Oh, it does.
and everything. There will be no tech product sold without the word AI involved in it.
AI.
I cannot track
AI.
the mouse cursor on this desktop.
I think it was around February last year, in 2023, that we started seeing all the AI stories, and now it seems like every week that's all it is.
That's all it's ever going to be.
We do have a meta story about AI later, which we will talk about a little bit more.
Well, of course, now that the holiday season is over, you probably got a lot of Amazon packages and
A lot of cardboard that's going to go out in my garden.
a lot of emissions had to come from that, from the whole life cycle of that $2 item that you had delivered in 2 days. And Amazon says that they have a new plan for improving that.
Amazon plans to make its own hydrogen to power vehicles. They're going to make hydrogen by turning water back into hydrogen and oxygen.
Now, how do you do that?
Electricity.
Now, how do you create electricity?
This article goes out of its way to not talk about that.
Magic.
It is shockingly not like... So inside, like, if you dig into this, if you go like 7 layers deep, Amazon says eventually they want to put solar panels on the roofs of their warehouses, like more. They've got some, but they want more. And then they're going to use that electricity to produce the hydrogen. And that sounds really good in theory. But right now, that costs a lot more than just buying the electricity.
How long till we have a hydrogen explosion in an Amazon warehouse?
I mean, with their safety track record, that seems like that would happen sooner rather than later.
Once they get the robots in there, they won't let that happen though, because the robots are more expensive.
How long until we see a burnt Pecky suit
Oh.
laying in the rubble?
I love Pecky.
represent-
That's my favorite story of all time, I think.
A significant part of our audience has done work with or for Amazon at some point in their career. And so that engagement challenge.
Yeah, that's what America is
Hard
these
to
days.
escape, yeah.
Those of us that buy Amazon and those of the people that work for Amazon. And they probably also buy.
Yeah, probably a lot of overlap there.
Well, we have Intel. They have decided that something has to change with PC building, and they want to simplify things by getting rid of all those pesky different voltages.
The 12VO power connector standard appears to be gaining steam. The new standard will reduce PC cabling and costs. Basically, that you're doing away with the giant ATX motherboard connector, and I, for one, am here for it. If you want to, there's a server motherboard from ASRock, the Genoa 8D D8UD 8DUD, something like that I did a video on. And it doesn't have the connector. It just has the 24-volt connectors for the CPU and then one little 3-pin adapter. So you shove the 24-pin connector into this little cable that gives you standby power and a soft on connection. And that's not this standard, but that is the future that we need to be in, because you don't need the connector.
Oh, that's a future of competing standards, which is probably what we will get.
How furious for this story that, like, do you think they wanted this to be ready for Christmas and it just wasn't?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I don't think that it's going to be ready in February.
Probably not. Just in time for Valentine's.
Apple Vision Pro tipped for late January, early February release. The giant heavy glass thing that's going to make your neck really tired is almost done.
You can have it all set up and loaded for your Valentine's Day with your waifu.
Oh. The ads that they released for this earlier this year, where they're like always in like these weird white and gray rooms wearing socks and like shapeless shifts, kind of a weird.
Hatsune Miku is going to be so excited.
She's always excited.
She's always happy to see you.
Yeah. She's a treasure.
What do you think about the 12VO standard, Hatsune Miku? And it's like, oh, it's just
Whatever you think.
it's just excited screeching. I can't parse this.
I'm gonna try this. I'm not gonna drink the whole thing, but I want to know what it
you
tastes
could,
like.
though.
I could.
Imagine a universe where you did.
I do, but I don't want to have to worry about driving.
Which one is this?
This is the banana.
Oh,
It's banana pudding.
When's the last time you had banana pudding one?
Probably when we had one.
I had an attempt at vegan banana pudding, and it was
An attempt.
It was an abomination.
it was an attempt. It was a worthy attempt.
It's not bad.
I had banana moonshine once that was surprisingly good,
This is probably adjacent to that.
but I had something that was along the lines of Kahlua, but based on a banana, and I was violently ill after that.
Did you have a lot of it, or was it just a little?
No, it was like maybe like 3 shots worth.
I like Kahlua, but it's better mixed with other things. This is definitely like this was sweet, the coffee one, but this one is like.
Well, I wonder if they're pounding moonshine over at the Taiwan factories.
This is like drinking a Yankee Candle. That's what it's
You know
like.
what? Go get a Yankee Candle. Let's put it in the crock pot.
And let that wax just seal up our throats.
But if we do that, we'll never see the future of 1 nanometer transistors.
TSMC is working towards a future with trillion transistor chips, 1 nanometer class manufacturing. It says its monolithic designs could reach 200 billion transistors by 2030. So, yeah. A trillion transistors on a single piece of silicon? Nah.
Imagine what AI will be able to do with that.
It'll steal your thoughts right out of your head.
Actually, I think the one company, they have the wafer scale AI, and they can just work around defects. That's probably on the order of that number of transistors across the whole thing.
Well, I usually leave out stuff like this too because it's just pointless pissing contest nonsense. But again, it was a slow time.
I tested Meteor Lake CPUs on Intel's optimized AI tools. AMD's chips often beat them. This is a Tom's Hardware article. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to... Because, the Meteor Lake stuff just launched, and I haven't gotten hands on anything Meteor Lake, but I got to play with Meteor Lake at Intel Innovation in November, and they hadn't gotten the power management stuff worked out or anything like that then. But AMD is kind of killing it with, look at this. This little thing. It lasts... If I turn everything down, it'll last like 8 or 9 hours, but I can get 6 hours of non-gaming usage out of it without even trying, and that's on Windows. Linux is even better.
I like that form factor. It's very compact.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the mouse is in the middle up top. Your palm is
Oh,
always
that is
on the
weird.
keys.
Okay, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I don't
But
really...
if you're just carrying a mouse with you, though.
Yeah, I don't...
Who
Yeah.
uses a trackpad? I used to use a trackpad for a lot. I used to play Minecraft with a trackpad
I
many
bet
years
a
ago.
lot of normies use trackpads.
I'm much faster with the trackball than I am the pad, so...
Yeah.
Well, if you purchased a TV over this holiday season, you might have been thinking to yourself, how are they selling me this 50-inch TV for $200? Now, some of that is that they're stealing your data and selling that. But some of it is also that
just
they're
lying.
basically just lying about everything.
Vizio agrees to pay $3 million for alleged false refresh rate claims. So this was 120 and 240 hertz panels from Vizio that were not actually 120 and 240 hertz. This was some sort of motion smoothing technology that just went sideways. I actually was watching this or looking at this because a lot of the time when we do our monitor testing, you know, we'll get a monitor in and it says that it can do 144 hertz, but then we do the high speed camera and it's like kind of sort of doing 144 hertz, but not really doing 144 hertz. It's not like OLED where like the pixel's on and the pixel's off. And this is happening in like, you know, a millisecond or two. LCD panels are not like that. And so if this case went egregiously bad for Vizio, this might also change how computer panel displays. But what Vizio was doing was so far beyond what display manufacturers were doing with what I'm talking about that I don't think it'll apply, sadly.
And digital twins. Now, I'm not talking about the data that they're collecting from us and creating a profile that they will enable with AI so that they can then question us without ever actually questioning us. Probably eventually accuse us for crimes for that or, you know, dissident wrongthink. I'm talking about in industry digital twins.
Twinsies, how digital twin technology is rebooting the automotive world. This is a Motor Trend article. So this is talking about how companies are setting up not just a CAD simulation of parts of a car, but like the entire car and the assembly line and how they make parts and everything down to the smallest nut and bolt detail.
And then they're going to simulate all that, try to figure out all the horrible problems like, you know, the Tesla's front suspension arms snapping off
I was gonna say, I mean, you could really just put Tesla there.
at mile 50.
It is kind of like if you look at the software, so like some of this I see from the multi-core side of it. It's like AMD's like, 96 core CPUs, blah, blah. But if you look at the software that does like computational fluid dynamics and simulation, they've never had this much hardware available so inexpensively. So like the software that does circuit simulation and like electromagnetic field simulation and simulating those arms that just break right off, the software is getting shockingly good. So this is just the next logical step is just model everything virtually and then build it.
Well, here's some hardware that might also shock you if you handle it incorrectly.
Volkswagen back to JAC EWaste.
Yeeway.
EV powered by
right.
sodium ion battery starts mass production in China. This should be like one of the secondary or tertiary level 1 bingo cards because it's like, oh, there's a new battery technology. It's like, yeah, but it's not on the road yet. This one's actually on the road.
I think that was on there. I think it was like Ryan baited by new battery tech.
Yeah, but this one is out there. You can get it. You can. But the thing about it is, it's not as good. It's believable because it's actually worse than lithium in terms of.
but breathtakingly cheaper.
Keep going.
Because this.
I keep thinking it's not that bad. And I take a sip and I'm like, no.
Anyway, these don't last as long. They're not as dense, but they probably won't burst into flame.
And they're also made out of sodium, so they're much less caustic to deal with.
But the thing about car companies, as we've learned from the Volkswagen scandal and many others, is that they basically just lie.
They're just shameless.
And the regulators are kind of toothless. And so how long can you keep lying about car manufacturing?
Toyota-owned automaker in Japan has halted production after admitting it tampered with safety tests for 30 years. So, like the whole diesel thing, that, but now Toyota.
I mean, that was just emissions, though. Like, lying to me about my fuel economy is one thing. Lying to me about safety tests?
Yeah, that's a little... I bought this car because I thought it'd keep little Timmy safe.
Listen, it's fine if you kill the planet. It's not fine if you don't keep little Timmy safe.
Oh, yeah, I mean, ideally they'd be honest about both, but I don't have that high of a bar. The bar is in hell, and they're still not clearing it.
I mean, the planet's going to be fine. It's the danger to humans that we're always worried about, and this is a much more clear and present danger. Now, if I were to tell you that there's a new car coming out, and I use this phrase to describe it, and you're the kind of person who's like, oh, yeah, I do want that, there's something wrong with you. You're on the wrong track with life. You're going to have to rethink things because this is not how you should think of a car.
Xiaomi's first EV is the freshest take on a smartphone on wheels. It's like, think of a smartphone, but it's your car. It's like, unless you're talking about building the car from Knight Rider. No.
It just automatically downloads games you don't want.
Yeah, I know this is going to hurt your feelings, but Kit was collecting data.
He was, but he wasn't sending it to the cloud because there was no cloud to send it to.
Well, yeah, but
Not because he didn't want to, though.
I'm sure every time they plugged him in when he went back home. Actually, he was ice engine, wasn't he?
Yeah, there was a couple of times though where Kit would say things like, "Oh yeah, I don't think Michael was being honest about that because his pupils dilated and crap like that." And it's like, whoa, did you just don't narc on him there?
So this shows you that robots are never really your friend. They're going to serve their creators. That's not you. And one thing that's not going to serve anybody anymore is this stupid idea.
Hyperloop 1 to shut down after failing to reinvent transit. Yeah.
So for a while now, it wasn't even passengers. It was just cargo. But even then, people were like, why are we doing this? Was that the crockpot?
Maybe.
It was. Oh, that was the crockpot hitting its target temperature.
Oh, so does it mean it'll be better now if we try it again?
Peak boiled Pepsi. And if you are one of the people who believe that when you hit that little incognito button that you were totally safe and you could visit all the websites that you wanted and nobody would ever know about it, that of course wasn't true. But it seems that maybe you were okay to believe that because the government says you shouldn't have known better.
Google agrees to settle Chrome incognito mode class action lawsuit, where incognito mode was just not recording to your local machine, but otherwise everything worked the same.
I don't know how many people are in that suit, but there was like 3 original people. I guess they just get mixed in with everybody else, right? The lawyers will have a bonanza. We don't know what the number is yet.
A bonanza? We drink some more Yankee Candle.
Every time I use a word that has like BAN in it, will you do another shot?
Well, yeah, until it's gone.
That'll be like 2 more words.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to.
That seems like something Firefox should jump on. It's like, Firefox incognito mode really is just between us.
I don't know if I mean, I like to believe that Firefox is better and I do prefer it as my browser, but I kind of just assume everybody's selling my data at this point.
Wow, Krista's breath really smells like banana pudding.
If you,
I mean, it's pleasant.
It's strong.
It's actually pleasant.
well, if you were a person who believed that the Google Play Store was really being walled off and controlled to protect you, then that would probably make you as angry as Bruce Banner.
Is that really a banana?
BAN.
Google rejected Play Store fee changes due to impact on revenue, Epic lawsuit shows. So in Discovery here, what Ryan's talking about, you can see in the lawsuit, Google said, we can afford to do this, but then we would lose billions upon billions of dollars, and who's going to make us? So why would we not do that? Doesn't seem very capitalistic.
We might be wondering why AI has suddenly gotten so banal and uninteresting.
It's not even close.
It's BAN.
Yeah, but he's pronounced it
B-A-N-A.
banal.
Banal. Is it
Banal.
Is it banal?
Yeah.
I thought it was banal.
I think it's banal.
No, it's banal.
Engagement challenge.
I'm
Apple
being gaslit right now.
Apple wants to partner with major publishers to train AI. It's a trap. Don't do it. It's doing anything with Apple is like working for the empire. See also the heart rate monitor thing.
I have a friend who once said Persuado, and I've never let her live it down.
So Google, Condé Nast, NBC, Vogue, Wired, Vanity Fair, Ars Technica. Wow, a lot of the stuff we use on here. They are all in negotiations to be like, yes, you can use our copyright material to drain your AI.
Apple's just going to give them some token payment and then do whatever the heck it wants anyway.
Well, if you're,
I'm done. There's no more. So you don't have
there's
to.
another bottle.
I'm not doing that. Not that one. Unless you want to try some apple
No,
pie.
I don't want to try it.
Well, this one's Old Smoky Moonshine. So now you got to come up with words that have smo in them.
Smo. Well, they're all a little smoky.
That's slightly
That's what
harder.
they sell at the little grocery store near me.
What flavor is that one? Just moonshine?
This one.
Oh no,
was-
apple pie.
Yeah, that one's apple pie. This one is Java coffee flavored, and that one's apple pie. I've had the apple pie before. I've never had these two. I actually don't. I don't hate the banana, but I could see if you drank more than this, you would get very sick very quickly.
Yeah. Which would you choose if you had to choose one?
I would choose the banana, I think. This one was like coffee, but weirdly alcohol-y. Oh no.
I don't have any transition to this. This is just more bad news. If you're the kind of person who says to yourself, you know what, I don't need streaming services, but I've already got Amazon Prime, so I'll just go and see what they have to offer.
This was a bad story.
You won't be after this month.
Amazon Prime Video will start showing ads on January 29th.
No.
I love the letter that they sent. The letter that they sent was like, hey, your price isn't going up, but you will see ads. Oh, and also, if you'd like to continue not to see ads, we do offer that for an additional $3 a month.
This is also the one where they led with like, hey, you know all the great stuff that we've got here? And the number one on the list
Lord
is
of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Rings of
It's
Power.
like, tone your enthusiasm down. They're still not advertising for it, which is wild because House of the Dragon's already up on it. That's your main competitor.
They don't want people to know about that. And
I'm sad because I use Prime to watch Black Screen Thunderstorm to go to sleep.
just
and now
pay
it's
your
gonna be gone.
$3 a month.
I'm not
Krista.
doing that.
That's easy. Easy. Just pay that.
I'll go back to buying CDs of thunderstorm sounds and listening to those.
Well, that's what you should do.
Yeah.
Own your own media. I'm not saying I do it, but I'm saying you
I don't
should
walk the walk, but I do talk the talk.
But I do walk the walk here, which actually, no, that's not true because I have my parents' streaming accounts.
Do you even know when they last logged? Have you checked?
Not in a while, but they really don't mess with them. But at the same time, I don't want to call them up and be like, you're not allowed to watch this anymore. So anyway, maybe the good news is some of those subscriptions, because neither of them are Netflix, will soon just go away on their own as all these mergers will come into one conglomerate that controls all media.
It's shakeout time as losses of Netflix rivals top $5 billion. That's Disney, Warner, Comcast, and Paramount are contemplating cuts and possible mergers. They probably will merge.
Keep canceling.
Disney cannot own everything, but that's like the world we're going toward.
What's going to stop them?
Everybody's love of the arts.
Happy thoughts?
Yeah.
Us making videos on how to set up your own Jellyfin server.
Well, and this one almost put in the nonsense section because this is just, I understand the arguments here, but if you do this,
I'm pretty sure this was a troll.
you're the worst kind of hipster.
I don't even think this is hipster. This is just like you're a little bit insane.
A little bit.
Linux is the only OS to support diagonal PC monitor mode. Dev champions the case for 22-degree rotation computing.
What's that?
The reason for 22 degrees is because you can get a one line of code corner to corner on that. And so at 22 degrees, you get a horizontal LCD that is as wide as possible.
For 1 inch of it.
Yeah.
That's great when you're just you're scrolling through your code. It's like, let me get to that one long line.
That's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing I've
Who
ever
wants
seen.
that?
This actually, I bet we see screens like this in Hollywood now. Like they'll make a mosaic of screens that are diagonal, and then that's just going to be like, oh yeah, this is, our sci-fi computers are all diagonal screens, or like a diamond. It's like they'll use the almost square LG monitors in a diamond configuration.
One thing that you could say about 2023 is that it was an absolute clown show. And maybe we could have a little bit of laugh. It's like, oh yeah, at least we can joke about that. But now we can't even joke about the clowns because even the clowns have fallen victim to this new online hell.
I love the 404 headline here. No laughing matter. Clowns sue clowns.com for wage theft. And they may be onto something here. So depending on how this goes, this could also go really badly for Uber, because a lot of what they're arguing here is that clowns.com should be their employer, that this was not a gig, because clowns.com inserted themselves in the middle of transactions where people want to hire a clown. They go to clowns.com. They can, if you're a local clown freelancer, you can get some freelance gigs on clowns.com. But it turns out clowns.com plays games with the clown engagement.
If you're someone who's like, let me go to clowns.com to hire a clown, do you think that gets added to your ad profile and it's like psychopath?
I also like that if anybody just tuned in and has never seen us before and heard me saying all that, they're just like, what in the heck
is
just
happening?
happened?
Well, they probably also might have tuned in earlier that we were drinking hot crockpot Pepsi. And then I talked about something tasting like a Yankee candle. So
Level 1, where else can you hear about crockpot Pepsi and clowns.com abusing clowns, those clowns?
ooh.
One of my favorite thing about that story is that clowns.com, one of the things they were doing is they were forcing the clowns to buy equipment from them.
Yeah.
So the literal clown shoes were like Temu clown shoes and they would fall apart.
So sad.
Well, this is great news right here because I'm sure none of us have ever experienced any bad things happening after a Windows update.
Windows 11 will let you reinstall your OS through Windows Update without wiping your files. You'll still have to reinstall your applications, but at least it won't delete your documents folder.
That's not going to work.
Their one QA guy resents you for that.
The goal here is that you use OneDrive and you back up all your stuff to the Microsoft Cloud, whatever. So when you do this, it literally just does wipe your machine, and then it will pull back your stuff. But a lot of people have more than a few gigabytes of stuff, and nobody inside Microsoft realizes that because they're not real people. So I don't think this is going to work out long term. Like, oh, we won't delete your files. Will it also not delete my Steam library? No? Okay, well.
Well, here's some good news, but it's good news for the wrong reason. This is not because anything like good happened and people put their foot down and said, no, you can't do this. It's just because a deal was reached.
PlayStation will not delete Discovery TV shows after all for another 30 months. They really should have put that in the headline, for another 30 months. So this is a reprieve. You've got a stay of execution. This is not you get to keep property and property rights. These companies realize that this could be very bad for them in terms of legal precedent because of property rights. And he's like, this was a thing sold to individuals, not a rental. And they didn't really want to attract legal and regulatory scrutiny by harming a bunch of people that bought this. So maybe in 30 months, people won't care as much, and then they'll just summarily delete them.
Are you telling me all of River Monsters is going to be gone?
One day.
I really think we need to get, Ron Wyden or some of those guys on the job of saying, if you bought media and it's in this kind of a situation, no DMCA or anything like that applies to you if you're just going to back up the media that you bought and put it on another storage medium.
Or we could say that DMCA is overwhelmingly flawed and we're just going to get rid of it.
That'd
It
be
does more
great.
harm than good.
My goals are lower. It's just let's start with a little carve out. We could get there. I'd love to go on that trajectory, but just a little carve out of like you own a DVD, it is definitely 100% without question
Yeah.
okay to
Except
back
when
up
you
that
negotiate, you want to go higher.
DVD. Yeah,
And then they come down to you.
You're also arguing that we should change the system from within the system. When was the last time that worked?
I'm very sad now, Chad.
There's three spectrums here. One is Killdozer.
You know what would cheer me up, Chad? If you went to buy a KVM, store.level1text.com.
Level1text.com.
Most models are in stock.
And there's no cloud connection. Well, here's a good headline at least. And I wonder, I know why this has happened. It's because they've destroyed the experience. And they've
Shitification.
they moved the slider from like mostly social, little bit of spying to totally spying.
And totally advertising. That's what makes me mad.
And totally populated by robots.
I think they do a thing called hate farming.
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh,
Rage bait.
Yeah, you engage with things that are really terrible. Let's show you lots of things that are really terrible. And then it's like, I don't want to use this anymore.
Well, let's all stop farming.
We aren't posting on social media as much anymore. Will we ever? No, you come to the level 1 text chat so we can commiserate together. We are in this together, chat. We can change the world for the better.
I hadn't posted in a long time on Twitter. And then last night, I think I posted like 4 or 5 times in a row.
You were drunk.
I was a little. But it was all memes.
And most of the people who are tuning out, I think probably are older people, wouldn't you think? I think the youth are still there. And that is probably what is making them depend on the youth for this.
Social media companies have made $11 billion in the U.S. in terms of ad revenue from minors, a Harvard study finds. I honestly thought it would be more.
They kind of fudged the numbers a little bit to come up with these, but they're pretty believable, I would think.
Yeah.
I also think there's a huge flaw in their argument in that if you want to drag this out, I think you have to start in the 1980s with like Hasbro, because Hasbro did a bunch of stuff that wasn't necessarily immediately profitable. I mean, it was a little bit, but then it spawned 30 years of insane profits just by conditioning children.
And letting a bunch of people just go do weird creative stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, well, those were some insane stories they told us. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
Was that you were in that pipeline? You were the kid who was like, I want all
It worked.
those toys.
100%. Yeah. I desperately needed all of that.
Did your
And-
parents get rid of it? Did you find out
Get rid of what?
all your toys that you had from that time?
No, I still have some of them. I got a pretty decent Masters of the Universe collection.
That's what you should hang up on. You're always like, I don't know what to put on my walls in my house. That's what you should put up. You should hang up your.
You got to set up a live streaming area when you redo your basement, and you got to get
Yeah,
some
and put
colored
it all
lights.
behind you.
and-
Yeah.
You know, when you bring a woman in her 40s to your house, what you want her to see is action figures.
Yeah.
That's why it's in the basement, locked away in the corner.
You can't go down there.
It's like the cats. Well, here's another way that you could throw away your money other than action figures, which, by the way, did not increase in value all that much.
No. It's like Beanie Babies. It's
But-
just
This will actually increase in value none at all. And so don't do this. This is stupid.
Business Insider's headline is she spent her inheritance on TikTok live streamers. Cindy White spent more than $250,000 looking for companionship on TikTok. All over the internet, people say TikTok's live matches have a dark side. I think you could search and replace TikTok for anything here. This could have been
it could have been any
Fifth
social
Avenue.
media.
It could have been Wall Street. It could have been
But-
anything.
Are you familiar with the live matches? This is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Is it kind of like they're dating kind of thing, or
No. So like you're watching two streamers at the same time and they're trying to just like do anything they can to get your attention so you can pick one over the other one. And whoever gets the most donations wins. And I guess it goes on to the next round.
wow, that is a level of insidious that is like
So
people talk about like don't be mad because your attention is drifting. Be mad because your attention was stolen from you, and that is
so this
right in
lady
that pipeline.
this lady was in her 60s, and after the thing happened to lock her in her house, I think something happened. She broke something, so she was literally in bed with nothing to do. Nobody wanted to talk to her, and she was like, "I must have human contact." So TikTok.
Well, I mean, that's
1v1.
relatable.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's other ways to have contact than just this.
Yes.
Weird. Though, if you wanted to drop a donation in the chat, we would love that.
Speaking of which, we have quite a few.
Oh, we do?
Jeb Bush. I don't think that's real.
That
Been
might-
watching since the before times. Thank you for presenting the news in a way that doesn't make me pull my hair out. Well, we try. We don't always get it right, but we try. You should go read. Just
Yeah,
go
read the
stuff.
stories too. Don't trust us to get it right.
Read and think for yourself.
Most of the stories are propaganda. Don't even bother.
Well, you got to go read a bunch of sources, and then we don't even always pick the good sources, and sometimes
Well, because sometimes we can't because they're paywalled, and it's like,
the paywall people also have their own agenda. Oh, we missed the New York Times. Oh no, that's in the next one. The New York Times story, which is interesting. The AI copyright suit thing. That's coming because it's a whole pot kettle situation. Anyway, Nathan Laurie, where are all the CXL memory devices for workstation? Off topic, but curious. I don't know, but so far, CXL support seems to be there in Sapphire Rapids workstation. Again, not confirmed because I can't confirm if I have a device that may or may not be a prototype. Doesn't seem to work on Threadripper workstation. I don't know why, at least TRX50. Random name, PLN50. What is your opinion about computer literacy in society these days? In a world where some 18-year-old students have no idea what a file is, I think there is a lot less people that have the mindset of a tinkerer. So for me, the whole thing with computers is that it gives an individual, when I say that we're going to see $1 billion company that is a single person, I mean that a single person is going to be able to capture the value that they generate in a way that they have never been able to historically. And so that's a positive side. Smaller and smaller groups of people are able to get together, get stuff done, and do something really amazing and impressive. And so, yeah, it doesn't really answer your question, but it seems like it's something we need to work on.
I don't think it's necessarily a new thing either. Because I remember I used to tutor web classes, and the amount of times I had to explain file paths to people because they're like, my image isn't working or my thing isn't working. And it's like, did you check the file path? No. And
But
90%
what's a
of the time
file?
that resolved it. Yeah.
But they didn't have technology that would do that for them. Now they do.
Well,
Yeah.
iPads go out of their way to make you not deal with files, and it's just
Which I hate because it's like, I just want to move a file.
Yeah.
I
But-
just want to move a file to another device.
or the clipboard works intermittently.
But if you can get a whole generation like that, then you can sell them those devices and you don't sell them the complicated devices anymore. And then everybody is stuck in that.
The Pelosi's bought quite a bit of Nvidia stock recently after the ban was announced. No way the 4090D will get banned. That's probably a good observation of Bavarian.
Well, even if 4090 is not the only battleground there, NVIDIA invested in all the AI companies.
Yeah.
So they are going to get returns one way or the other.
Any thoughts on the leaked video of the IBM CEO discussing coercive action for discriminatory hiring practices? We'll see. Jesse Rosenfeld. That might be a future news topic, actually. Artist gave us PLN 749. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shane McDuffie. Thank you. Happy New Year. Keep up the content. AFIF96. Greetings from Belgium. 10 more bucks. Thank you. If you can disprove the stereotype that Americans don't know world geography, what is the capital of Belgium? Where is the country on a blank world map? I don't know.
I know roughly where it is, but like I couldn't point it to you.
I'm going to throw Brussels out there, but I don't think that's the actual capital, is it?
I don't think so.
Isn't,
Luxembourg or is that another country?
Isn't Brussels
Yeah, that's
the
embarrassing.
EU seat?
FDH.
But you guys have great waffles. So. Go eat a waffle
racist.
for us.
FDHJF. Thank you again. 420 crockpot snake.
Here's
Peter
another question. What is the capital of Kentucky? Because you probably don't know. It's not relevant.
Love your content and all your work. Thanks for all you do. Well, thank you, Peter.
Relevant to you.
Vinny2142, Happy New Year, level 1. Made the switch from Windows to Linux, and your vids have been a great help. Yay, thank you.
We had a couple others come up. Did you get them?
No.
Okay, there were some scrolled
There's
up.
a bunch. Sean Dudley, have you checked out Ground News, and do you have any thoughts on it? I haven't seen it. Azure Flash CA, $10. Thank you. Thank you.
I think that we're caught up.
JW Dickinson, attention, banana. You may now carry on.
I've already drank all the banana.
Super Wojo, $50. Thank you. I appreciate it. For TikTok, yogurt with love. Crunchy Eater, happy 2024 with some boiler steak snacks. So we got to get ready for the final part of the episode, and then we can just sit and chat and hang out and answer questions and do whatever you'd like. But
let's start this section with which would you choose?
Mighty Halo says, what mixing desk are you using to produce the show? It handles the RE20s quite well. Or is there a Patreon video with setup? It's a Zoom LiveTrack L12.
Stuck overnight in an elevator with country music blaring on the speakers, or stuck overnight in an elevator with opera blaring in the speakers?
Opera.
Yeah, I think I would pick opera as well. Depends on the genre of country music. If it's like traditional, like bluegrass, I could probably deal with that, but I wouldn't pick modern country.
I think it was the Family Guy quote. It's all country music is, I kissed my sweetie with my fist.
I was looking at Appalachian folk songs the other day. I was reading an article about it, and I was like going through some of them to see which ones I knew. And there was a disturbing tendency toward domestic abuse in a lot of the lyrics, and I was like,
Well, there's a lot of drinking.
Yeah, I was like, that's unfortunate. I was looking for something more folksy and wholesome, but it was a lot of like, and then he killed his wife.
Nikita's Laugh says, thank you for the news every week. I started doing PC adapter cables for fun and profit, and the CRJ Electronics brand has been a lot of fun. 2024 is going to be on fire. Yes, there is lots and lots of room for good cables that don't suck. Let me tell you.
That's like 90% of our KVM problems is someone being like, my cable's not working. It's like, just get a different one.
Well, yeah. Well, and it's just because, it's usually the cables.
All right, Nevin.
Well, I didn't want to launch off into a monologue about
You wanted
the
to.
cables. I
But
really
he
did.
restrained himself.
You kept hitting the filter and being like, why am I
See,
not able
if
to
Wendell
do
could drink, like, he would be on there.
I've got the shakes now. It's just like cables.
Well, you know who's got the shakes is Sam Altman. If he ever has to do this now, of course, with Microsoft at the helm, there's no way
He's got a fever that only money can cure.
Microsoft will not allow this to happen. But if it were to happen, oh boy, would this change things.
New York Times copyright suit wants OpenAI to delete all the GPT instances. Why? Because they use their copyrighted material to do the training. And that's a headline that sounds good and even sounds reasonable. But you dig into it, and they want to put their lawsuit together with, what was it, the Screen Actors Guild lawsuit or some other lawsuit. And you dig into it, and this is probably the worst argument and the worst lawsuit that they could come up with, because the New York Times itself is guilty of doing what they accuse others of doing, but not with AI. They would hire somebody to read a Reuters article and then write what they remember of the Reuters article without citing it. And so I think if they win their lawsuit, they're going to open themselves up to lawsuits from Reuters and other authors. But I don't think they can possibly win this. So I think the hand of Disney is here, because Disney wants this to be solidified.
Isn't the hand of Disney always everywhere among us?
It would benefit Disney tremendously if they lose their lawsuit, not for AI companies, just because media companies like Disney could just do a lot of fun, insane stuff.
And we have every week now we have to have a new AI. Some, in this case, it's not new, but it just keeps creeping. AI creep is what this is, and it will not stop until the world is saturated.
GitHub makes Copilot chat generally available, asking devs or letting devs ask questions about code. It's like, so I have this thing. How does it work? Tell me about it, and it will do it. It's not always right, but it'll do it.
And what is AI worth? Because it's out there, and there's kind of a monetization for it, but it's so disruptive. What is it really worth? If we were to say OpenAI, what are they actually worth? Well, they have an idea.
$100 billion. Reuters says that OpenAI is in talks to raise new funding at $100 billion valuation. And look at this. Reuters, there's a paywalled Bloomberg article that broke this, and Reuters said, hey, we read this at Bloomberg, and it's a thing. This wasn't written by AI. It was written by a human being. What's the difference?
And then they added another paywall.
Yeah. If they would just pay for it, there would be no problem. But no one wants to pay for it.
And see, we're adding our own flavor to it because it's like we read it. We're giving you the article on Reuters, but we also read about this from a bunch of different angles.
So, Microsoft Copilot, they want it to be everywhere, and they are not kidding about that. They will put it literally anywhere that they can fit it.
Microsoft quietly launches dedicated Copilot app for Android. Interestingly, this bypasses the Bing nonsense, and you can just use GPT-4 directly from Android, so they're monetizing it somehow.
And Microsoft, if we recall, has been, they've gained a board member on the OpenAI board after the Sam Altman drama. It's a non-voting role, but they do get to find out everything that's going to happen ahead of time. What an advantage.
I love this. This Microsoft for the OpenAI tumult is heads I win, tails you lose. This is from the Hill. We pointed this out 3 weeks ago now. When this happened, we said this is amazing because Microsoft has pulled off a coup here. They weren't able to buy OpenAI, but effectively now they've taken over it. And finally somebody else noticed and said, wait a minute. This is incredible. So I'm starting to think that the people that tried to oust Altman were actually just useful idiots to Microsoft, unless they were in on it.
And a new AI that's only a little bit new, but has a new milestone because, of course, most of these are not allowed in this country.
Baidu's ChatGPT-like ErnieBot has more than 100 million users, according to the CTO. We've reported this a couple of times. There was very scant information to back that up, but this article actually has some more information about that.
And if you recall, on the ramp up to AI, like 2022 was maybe the breaking point.
Very end of 2022, I remember we started seeing some stories about it.
23 was full AI. But before then, as we were just learning about, what language models was and stuff like that, they over and over, if you recall, every headline they'd pound
It won't take jobs.
Not going to destroy jobs. Don't worry.
Never.
The politicians said it. The CEO said it. Everybody was like, it's simply not going to happen. You'll work smarter. You'll be happier. You'll live in the pod. Everything's going to be beautiful.
Eat those bugs.
Google might already be replacing some ad sales jobs with AI. Somebody actually, the very next paid comment that we got said that did you see that Google is about to fire 30,000 people thanks to AI? I didn't see that it was 30,000 people, but there you go.
Yeah.
And also thank you.
And if that makes you paranoid and sad and mentally unhealthy, don't worry, because the solution, as with all things going forward, is more AI.
The Wall Street Journal says employers are offering a new worker benefit, a wellness chatbot.
I'm sorry. It looks like you're trying to draft on a live note.
It looks like you're trying to order nitrous oxide from Amazon.
Oh, we used to joke about that all the time. What was that? Exit bags.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another good one. That's another soft language. We could probably get by the censor.
For now. Well, but AI is going to catch on to it so quick.
Yeah.
The sensor is going to build so quick.
Language is going to get so weird over the next couple of years. And I'm kind of like, I don't love it, but I also am kind of excited about how weird it's going to get.
We also had an interesting situation where in the late teens and the early 20s, the venture capital firms controlled tech, like SoftBank, for example. Remember how we always talk about SoftBank buying everything? They got burned hard during the last couple of years. So now there's a new sheriff in town.
Big tech outspends venture capital firms in AI investment frenzy. Basically, everybody is willing to pay $40,000 for a $10,000 piece of hardware because you just can't get enough of them.
And Nvidia is willing to invest in your company if you're willing to buy their $40,000 video card.
Not only that, actually, Nvidia is willing to lease you hardware that they continue to own for as long as you can give them money, which just seems really, it's like the Bitcoin thing all over again. Remember when the Bitcoin miners would make the hardware and then they're like, we'll sell you the hardware. And then it's like, wait a minute, you're not shipping the hardware. And it's like, we're testing it out by making a lot of money on it before we ship it to you.
You might be thinking, I can't compete in this world of robots. I'm going to have to transition. I'm going to become an influencer. Or maybe I'll head over to the hub and make my money that way. But don't be so fast, because that is also being taken over.
The Financial Times headline is How AI Created Fakes Are Taking Business from Online Influencers.
This was already a big thing in South Korea where they had these fake influencers, and it's only becoming more popular because then you don't have to worry about them having a scandal or not showing up. They're always there, always on, always working.
But I also don't like, it's not even, so I had an experience with this. I've got some cheap porcelain tile in a shower that is scratched from something, and they're very, very light. They're very superficial, and I think they'll polish out, but I didn't want to screw it up and make it worse. And so I was looking, it's like, how do you deal with scratches in porcelain tile? And a lot of suggestions are like vinegar and baking soda and Brasso. Like you can use Brasso and a microfiber cloth to, do stuff with it. The Google search results for that, 75% of the first page was AI generated insanity.
Garbage.
And it was
Gardening stuff is that way too. It is awful.
It was so bad.
I was looking up, I needed to find the growth rate of a willow. And to find that, I had to scroll through pages of garbage.
Well, it's alarming because we're not just using AI to think about how to fix grout in your shower or grow willows. We're actually using it for very important tasks. And what happens when that data just becomes sludge and useless?
India boosts AI in weather forecasts as floods and droughts increase. This picture is disturbing because that guy's, it's like, oh, that's like weird flood water or something. No, there's a dude walking on that.
Did you see South Korea got like a huge amount of snow? Like the biggest snowfall they've had in 40 years. But then it was gone like 2 days later.
China had a ton of snow too.
Yeah.
None for us.
Well, it was spitting snow earlier, but it didn't stick.
I'm all right with no snow. No snow
I like snow.
for this winter is fine.
There's a chance for snow next weekend.
Well, there's a chance that this is going to fall into actually, there's 100% chance that this is going to fall into the hands of the insurance agencies. And then we are so screwed.
A new AI model that can predict human lifespan, researchers say. They want to make sure it's used for good. The Northeastern Global News. This is Dr. Farnsworth's death clock. You put your finger in and everybody's like, oh my.
No. That's why you got to have risky hobbies. That way, just bring that average down.
Risky hobbies.
Yeah, like hiking and stuff.
How does that help?
You're not going to die of natural causes.
Yeah, you're not going to die. It'll never know. You got to throw it off. You can't let them know your next move.
You're going to die of carabiner failure or something like that.
You can't let them know your next move.
Well, I guess health insurance, that would help. Well, maybe one way that you could trick it then is just to go into space a bunch, right? Because there's all kinds of bad things that could happen to you up there, and it's never been easier.
SpaceX wows with a double header of a final 2023 rocket launch. 98.
How could they not do two more?
Well, I mean, they ran out of time.
I'm sure Musk was screaming that somewhere in mission control. Do two more! He slams a line of Coke.
Also, one of the launches that was rushed was apparently some sort of space plane that was a classified mission. And it's like, guys, classified mission. We're not supposed to talk about that.
No, but you know about that plane? It's been up there for years. It's been looping for years, and no one knows what it's doing up there. They just put it back up for another year.
It's tracking the spy
Also,
balls.
we don't have any proof that Elon Musk is doing cocaine. Let's not get that libel suit.
No, he said he'd pay for libel suits, right? Was that?
But only if, well, you could tweet about it, I guess.
Yeah.
What if you tweeted something about him that was libel toward him?
But is that okay? Will you pay for it?
Well, you have to fund both sides
Yeah.
of that kid.
There was somebody set up a website that had several instances of exactly what he was asking for, and no one cared. And it's like, no, I'm not going to pay for those. And it's like, but this is what you asked for.
You said you would.
Well, the biggest risk to our space travel might not be any of those problems. It might be the e-thoughts and trying to control copyright.
Reckless DMCA de-indexing pushes NASA's Artemis towards a black hole, which is an amazing headline. But you remember the Artemis project? You know, space exploration. There's a lot of stuff in the public domain. It's been DMCA'd, and because there's no punishment for making false DMCA claims, there's an OnlyFans entertainer or something called Artemis that has been. This is the worst timeline.
So they DMCA anything that says Artemis, which is most of the Google links that go to the Artemis program. And because DMCA is fraudulent, there's nothing they can do about it. Oh, it clicked again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Maybe
it
that's
came
like
back
a
on.
mating thing. Maybe it's trying to attract the.
Why don't you get a big
boiler snake.
Why don't you get a big warm cup of Pepsi and drop that last?
I'm not. No, not this late in the game. I got to drive in a little bit.
Well-
But you haven't had any other alcohol, so if you'd like to take a taste,
Well, it's a great lead in because as terrified as I am of getting a DUI, most people don't care because there is no real punishment. You can get them over and over and over, and they keep just churning you through the system and generating revenue from you.
This news comes from Vancouver. A BC man convicted for the 21st time for impaired driving, believed to be the most Canadian in history.
the BC man, like he came before. He's from the past.
He's going to spend 5 years in jail, but as soon as he gets out, he's going to do it again.
They probably won't spend 5.
Oh, yeah.
He'll get out, good behavior. It's just ridiculous. How can 5 years be the result of number 21?
I would think at that point it's like maybe we should send this guy to rehab and not just keep dunking him in a cell and then letting him back out.
How about we just disappear him? He's a problem.
He has disappeared for 5
I
years.
mean, yeah, there are a lot of pictures there of the things he's done.
And crime is becoming more and more of an issue as society circles the drain. And it's amazing that one of the things that they demanded just a few years ago, now forbidden.
Philadelphia passes ski mask ban over crime concerns. Yeah, things are getting kind of bad in Philadelphia with the carjackings and robberies and whatnot.
You know, I actually thought about getting one of these just because I was like, it'd be nice for when I'm walking, but then I realized my hair would stick out of the bottom and it would look really goofy.
Do they have one with like a puff at the back where you can tuck your hair into it?
Just a big.
Is it? Do you think you remember the guy that built the bubble? He built the positive air pressure bubble with like the HEPA filter, and it was like the huge thing where you could see his face and you could hear him, and it had the speaker. I wonder if that would be okay.
There are a lot of really good, like, pandemic related things like that. There'd be ones where people had like their hoods up and then they would put like a pot lid over the front. Oh, those ones made me laugh.
That's amazing.
Well, the other problem with our emergency system, not only, I mean, I guess the cops are doing what they should do because this guy keeps getting arrested. He just doesn't keep getting prosecuted. But we are tragically short for all kinds of first responders and any kind of system like that. And it's getting to the point where it's just simply not there.
Nobody was picking up. Durham woman calls 911 during emergency and no one answers.
She also called the straight police station exchange. Nothing. Nobody home.
Where is Durham? Is that like in the middle of nowhere?
It's North Carolina, right?
Was it North Carolina?
Durham County. So
I mean, there's more than one Durham for sure.
I don't think it was it. It's Durham County. It's like not. Is that?
What's WRAL? I hate it when these news sites like you
Don't
can't
put
tell
where
where
they're
they
from.
are.
Usually it's in the footer. It'll mention.
Raleigh, Durham, Fayetteville. That's North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a more civilized area. That's disturbing.
I mean, it could be. So I was wondering if it's like somewhere like where we live, where
What?
it's like kind of in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere.
What city could that, or what state could that have been in when you've been like, oh, that's fine.
I don't know.
Screw the people in the mountains. Those people deserve what they get.
Well, something in the mountains. This kind of a problem is like there's somebody on my property that shouldn't be there. They're gonna get shot.
Well, yeah, that's how you end the call because then the cops will come if you say they're going to get shot.
Well, no, I mean there've been a lot of cases from around our state where they've called and it's like, well, the state police will be there in 15 or 20 minutes, and they're like, I ain't got that long. I'm just gonna go ahead and shoot him, and they do, and then there's a big deal about it, and then nothing happens.
Well, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it's like I'm calling you to let you know.
I've attempted to do it your way. It clearly doesn't work.
Here's your documentation for your paperwork. I'm going to go out and shoot this guy now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we had one of the last cases that was like the horse rustling thing. It was amazing. It was like, because if somebody's stealing from you, you're not supposed to kill them. But if somebody is horse rustling, which interferes with your ability to provide for your family, that is actually okay. Lethal force is okay in this is like an old West 1800s thing. Apparently, we still have a law on the books for that kind of thing. So that happened, and it was a big deal.
Well, there's some places where you might get shot if you mess around, but you could also get boiled alive, which is arguably worse.
Pierce Bronson faces charges after allegedly walking in Yellowstone's thermal
Why do
areas.
people do this?
Can they go off the trail?
Why do people do this?
I want to go
it's
off the
so
trail.
clear.
I'm an adventurer.
Like,
I mean, he's been on a lot of adventures, Krista.
every trail I've ever seen, like I haven't been to Yellowstone, but every video I've ever watched, like it's very clear. Like there are signs everywhere. It's like, do not walk off this trail. You will be incinerated. Maybe not that strong of language, but strong enough that you should know what's happening.
I don't think James Bond has to worry about that.
I think he might be mortal.
He's died several times and come back.
That'll be the sequel.
But speaking of sequels, I don't think that this character died. But what about the entire franchise? Because that seems to be the path that we're on.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has made 12% of Aquaman. It is so interesting to watch Jason Momoa Aquaman on the old Stargate Atlantis. Like it's just I don't know. There's something magical about that.
Well, apparently there's nothing magical about him as Aquaman. Because people ain't buying it.
I don't know if it's Aquaman's fault as much as the Marvel Cinematic Universe and everybody's just tired.
Well, this is DC, obviously.
Did they put, wasn't the Johnny Depp wife from The Big Trial, wasn't she a character?
Yeah.
Was she in the second one?
I don't know.
They didn't even cover that in the article. If they were going to rage bait, I mean, come on, what is this?
But yeah, I think most people, at least I have been sick of superheroes for a while, but I think the general public is also, there's just too much to keep up with it.
What was you had a good thought, I think. Was it an episode or two ago? It's like they're going to go for something next. Anime? Is that what you said?
Well, we got the Cowboys, I think, is probably what.
Cowboys would be, I think, will be one. I said musicals the other night, but that was drunk Krista, so that might not be accurate.
The problem with Cowboys is there's a lot of anti-woke stuff baked into that. So we might skip over that one.
I could go for more space westerns.
Yeah, maybe we'll see more space western.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Do you really think they're ever going to get anything good again?
I would love to see Firefly.
I would like to just see original content.
But Firefly, they're going to rewrite it and redo it completely and just make it awful.
I'd like to see something that is interesting, that is made by people who are actually passionate about it and not. I'm a writer and I have no other work to do, and so they just put me on this reboot that I'm not interested in, and then I put out the most sad garbage.
And I actually dislike the original, and I refuse to read it. Now you might be thinking, well, yeah, media's been destroyed, and we should just leave. We should go back to the simpler life where we get together as a community and do community things.
And we scream, kill, kill, kill.
Even that is becoming too dangerous.
Canadian province bans post-game hockey handshake lines in minor leagues after altercations.
That's what you go to the hockey to see. Like my cousin played hockey growing up, and like you go to the game and everyone screams kill, and you're just there for the fight.
But once the game's over,
you should do the handshake.
I mean, it's over. We don't need to fight anymore.
Yeah.
Let's just be respectful. I guess it is sort of fake respect, but
we had to do that when I played softball.
yeah, every sporting event did that. Yeah, and there was always some smack talk.
There was a girl on my team who spit in her hand once. And she got in big trouble for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. And when it comes to political attacks, this is maybe the simplest, the lowest common denominator.
Do you want a president who stinks?
What a headline.
Not basing it on anything that really matters. Let's just get down to, let's just say the man stinks.
The Independent's headline is Trump team fires back at claims that the ex-president smells.
Did they get into specifics about what he smells like?
Yeah, so it was a guy that used to work with him, and he claimed it was a combination of like body odor and some sort of sweet cologne smell, as if he's trying to use that instead of bathing.
The orange powder.
Or maybe instead of deodorant?
I mean, it could be true.
It's listen, if I ever smell bad at work, I hope somebody will.
Yeah, I
will
would
tell
hope
me.
someone would tell me.
But not in a major news article, right?
Or be really graphic about how it's described. You
Yeah.
smell like a roll of nickels.
Yeah.
I've heard that next week they might be accusing him of being a doo-doo head.
A ding-a-ling. Demonetized.
But they do destroy everything that we loved that used to be good media, and they keep destroying it, and they keep just drawing
This one's not even out of copyright.
drop after drop of blood from it to get everything that they can.
Disney releasing a new Alien book. Yes, Alien as in Alien versus Predator, or Alien the movie, Ridley Scott's Alien. A book aimed at preschoolers.
It's not aimed, let me be clear. This is not aimed at preschoolers. It's aimed at their parents who will be like, ooh, I like that thing. And then they will buy it for their child.
Look how happy that Xenomorph is. They're such good friends.
It's
Those are
Disney.
good movies. I don't think I'd buy that for my children.
Would you show that to your children? for
No,
that age?
because they'd have nightmares.
So how do
I
they
watched
know?
Jurassic Park when I was 5. I still have nightmares about raptors.
So how would your kids even know what that is? I guess at this point it's such a big IP. They probably played video games before they see the movie.
There's a lot of copyright, a lot of things entering the public domain this year. Finally, Steamboat Willie.
Well,
I've seen some good memes about that recently.
it takes a couple of years, so we would expect to see in end of early 2025. We'll probably get the announcement for the Steamboat Willie horror movie, right?
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
For now, we have this.
Bambi, the Reckoning horror film, secures director and cast ahead of a January production start. We've covered this before, Bambi, the Reckoning, and then this is a screenshot from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which we covered when it was first announced. These are also like rage bait or outrage bait. It's like, now that it's out of copyright, we can do this thing.
Yay. Great.
But imagine all of the stuff that was released around the time of Winnie the Pooh that was awful, that actually probably would be a lot more entertaining to be lampooned, that's just been lost to the sands of time because it was in copyright too long for anybody to preserve.
But if you think about it, in terms of these characters, I mean, Bambi's got a lot more reason to be murderous than Pooh does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pooh's had it pretty easy. Bambi had a tough life.
The Prince of the Forest. I don't know. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Well, after they killed his mom,
Yeah, but his dad still took over. No, he didn't know his dad, which was kind of uncomfortable.
way to alienate all the single parent children, Krista.
His dad took over. His dad had custody.
Well, do you think his dad ever needed just some time to himself, so he just sat Bambi down?
Yeah,
in
he
front
just
of him?
disappeared. He didn't hang out with Bambi when he was little. He just showed up after the mom died and was like, I will take care of you now. He had a super deep voice.
I don't remember the movie that well.
Really?
Well, do you think what I was getting to is, you think he ever let him play Mario just as a babysitter?
Yeah, absolutely. Bambi was an iPad kid.
Study finds playing Super Mario Odyssey cuts depression symptoms by nearly 50%.
He grew up in the 80s.
I would say that this is not unbelievable. I've often wondered, like, what if you made an AI assistant that when you get up in the morning, it's like, hey, you're a reasonable human being. You should get out of bed and bathe and, do your self-hygiene care. And it's like, great, good job. Okay. Now, like, get ready for work and go do this stuff. And like, would something like that actually help people? Because it seems like some people that just aren't functional enough to bathe every day, need some encouragement and just need some. It's like, would an AI do that? Or
I feel like that would make me angry if something was like yelling at me like that.
I don't know.
I don't want to be told what to do. Also, that was not a comparison between like Mario and anything positive. It was a comparison between Mario and their stupid psychological software. So, yeah, obviously Mario is a lot better fun than whatever they've put together.
Can we compete with Nintendo?
Do you think this is also something like, Kellogg's says that Kellogg's cereal is a complete part of the breakfast? Oh, look, we've got this study that says that Kellogg's does a really good job
It's
fixing nutritional
a
issues.
complete breakfast.
Nintendo products are a part of a complete mental health. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw this headline and I put it in here, I was like, oh, that's going to be funny. I thought it was going to be like furries, like actual.
No, it's not.
I thought it was people in furry costumes rolling around in strollers. But
I'm
it's
sure that exists.
It's much more wholesome, I guess.
More strollers are sold for furry companions than infants. What's a stroller for a furry companion? It's for your dog,
But,
for your cat.
Like, the whole point of taking your dog on a walk is so they get the exercise. Yeah.
What about when you take a cat for a walk?
You still want it to walk, right?
Yeah, I would think. You want them to move.
Another misread that I did, I guess I got two in a row here. Maybe my vision was off, but I thought this said crab parents. And I was like, well, I know about helicopter parents. What is a crab parent? I was
Or
like,
it's actually a literal crab.
crabs raising children. Honestly, at this point, it might be better.
Tory MP James Daly claims that it is quote unquote crap parents behind the struggling children.
Does he have any children? Either he has a very high opinion of himself, or, of course, he's the perfect parent because he has no children.
That is the perfect parent.
The one without a child, they don't have to actually deal with it day to day, so they don't know.
And they haven't spread the disease.
You know, have you felt any better? You sound okay today.
Still, no, I mean, I've always felt perfectly fine. I'm tired. And it's just this weird smell.
That's weird.
Like I can smell a crockpot Pepsi, but as soon as there's not a strong smell, it goes back to this default weird smell.
You don't smell the hints of crockpot Pepsi right now. It smells very cinnamony in
No,
here.
all I've got right now is the alien smell.
No,
And the banana.
I don't get any banana.
there's a smell that smells like spilled Pepsi on carpet.
What do you think this guy's recording room smelled like?
Not good.
Nothing good going on here. But is he perfectly within his right? I mean, he didn't necessarily do anything wrong. This is complete morality, and who gets to decide?
WECT 6 News, because no one else cares. University chancellor says that he was fired for producing and appearing in adult
material.
entertainment.
If he signed, like when he got hired at the university, if he signed something that was like a morality waiver.
But is this amoral? Because it's his wife, and I think they did invite some like external stars, but it was all above board. It's all legal, and it's like who decides if that's good or not?
Well, in this case, if he had an agreement with the university when he hired, that was like, I won't appear in stuff like this. But if he didn't have an agreement, then I don't know what leg they'd have to stand on.
Now, there is one situation where you could say, yeah, maybe this was probably the wrong thing to do. He paid a 59-year-old actress, Nina Hartley, who is in that world, $5,000 to come and speak at the university.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely a little,
No, that makes it a little, some stuff may have happened there.
Well, I am never going to be on board with this new injection-based weight loss drugs. I'm never going to trust that. But this
could be good.
Not being a drug, I wouldn't mind trying this.
The Guardian headline, it's a diet pill, but it vibrates. It's not drug-based. It gives dieters a feeling of fullness, study says. So basically you swallow this and it goes through your digestive system normally. But because it's moving, it simulates the feeling of being full. So you stop eating.
That probably would eventually be a lithium fire in my septic tank.
yeah, I don't like that. I wouldn't do that.
And false advertising, I got to say that this gal has got some argument here. Although,
They're always just like a lump.
does it change your experience? That's the question.
No.
I mean, can you really argue that
Maybe she's a cannibal.
you didn't get what you wanted out of it because of this?
Woman sues Hershey's company over Reese's pumpkins without faces. So if you've ever had one of these, you open the package, I gather, and it doesn't look anything
It's
remotely.
literally just a lump. I like that someone had to go out and buy one of those for research journalism.
I feel like this is a situation in the factory where like the normal peanut butter cup machine malfunctions catastrophically and they didn't have the parts for it. And so they just said, well, it's making this weirdly shaped. It's like, oh, we can just change the packaging. That's a printer. We can make it print whatever.
Well,
it's like, ta-da, pumpkins.
That's exactly what they do. Like they got the Christmas tree.
Yeah, they got all
the
different shapes.
They got rabbits.
But they don't do like a cutout though in any of those. Like to make a face or something.
No, yeah. It's just
They've never done that.
Just change the dye and sell them the same swill. They'll eat it up. They love it. Also, Christmas tree cakes are just zebra cakes.
My husband bought some and I was like,
There's something about them that's appealing.
He
but
likes them.
They're just zebra cakes. Once you eat them, you're like, yeah, that was a mediocre cake.
I meant to add it for the nonsense. The zebra cakes thing were in some controversy because if you look at how many ounces they are, they used it as a smokescreen for shrinkflation. I don't know if this is true or not, but this was a post. So you like the zebra cakes were a certain size. And then they stopped making regular zebra cakes, and then they made the tree ones, which were smaller than last year or a different size or whatever. And now that the regular cakes are coming back, they're smaller than the old ones. But it gave them enough time to cycle out the old in inventory, so you wouldn't have two different sizes of zebra cake on the shelf at the same time.
I saw there's a post the other day that was like shrinkflation in action, and it was two different types of paper towels that ran into that thing where they restocked new and old together, and you could tell that they were different, even though they had the same print on them.
I don't know if that's true, but there was a link to that where it's like, oh my gosh, this was happening with something else. And they had pictures of the product containers for like the last 4 years, and it has slowly gotten smaller.
And smaller.
Well, another thing that they're doing is simply diluting or adulterating the ingredients, feeding us more inedible garbage. And how could you possibly disguise that flavor super easily?
Spicy Dorito seasoning sparks Adelaide workspace safety complaint. Chat, how do I say that?
Adelaide.
Adelaide. Yeah.
So apparently working among the flaming hot dust, very bad for your respiratory system.
Also, like cutting stone. That was banned
Yeah.
this week as well. We have a story
In
about
Australia.
that. Do we have a story about
Did
that?
we put that in here? I saw that story too.
I don't think we do.
It was Australia. It's like the manufactured stone. You can't put it in Australian houses anymore because when they cut it, it like goes into your lungs.
It has an unusually high silica content, which just stays in your lungs forever. Guess what we have here? We have artificial stone tile as well as countertop. Woo! America.
Well, you don't want the artificial stone in your lungs, but you also don't want slushy in your face and on your clothing. And if that's the case, stay out of Louisville, Kentucky.
In a video show, elite Louisville police tossing drinks on unsuspecting pedestrians.
Local interest story.
We would also add for lulls to the headline because this was definitely the worst kind of lulls.
This is one of those anti-gun, anti-gang units, which inevitably, look at the history of this in Baltimore. Look at the Rampart BART system in California. These guys always just end up being criminals. Like they get in that lifestyle and they're like, oh, this is cool. And then they do stuff like this under the color of law. And somehow,
What kills me about this is they're just literally throwing them out. You can see them driving and they're just throwing them out at anybody walking. Like,
and recording it.
and it's like, these people, you're allowed to be out of your house after 8 p.m. taking a walk down the street. Like,
Is this some sort of like method for flushing out people in a gang? People in a gang would just pull their weapon and start shooting them?
This is a way for the city to employ people in gangs. And also, that was not a body cam footage. That guy was driving facing
And
forward.
recording,
He was
yeah.
recording it with the phone. Like they wanted
was
that to
driving
be on
and
video.
recording.
Yeah. And here's a pro tip. If you see that there are things growing in your toilet, you should probably clean it.
I'm also the victim of the mosquito. Woman fined for mosquito breeding in toilet bowl after losing trial.
I have a lot of questions about how she used it and then didn't end up eat up.
Well, she used a different one in the house. She was just like, oh, there's the mosquito toilet. I'm not going to.
It's like the spider
Didn't even
closet.
flush it. Like, I
And
don't,
no, because she claims that her religion prevents her from harming any creature.
That's a terrible defense.
So
That is-
when they came and they were like, listen, you need to put boiling water down this. And she was like, I'm sorry, I can't. But she gave them a kettle. They had to do it.
I mean, I've definitely known people that have avoided using certain closets in their house because they're like, that's the spider's closet.
Well, I
I
don't
mean,
think
I
that-
get that, but eventually you got to deal with it.
and mosquitoes are so much more mobile.
Yeah,
So much
they're
more
not
of a
going to
problem.
stay in that toilet.
It's a problem that's also going to multiply. So it's like, okay, in order to prevent you from becoming a society of mosquitoes, I'm going to have to deal with it now.
Who are we? It's not. And butter, I got to say, I go for the grass-fed butter, and it is getting pricey. And I
We-
use a lot of it.
We only use like the fancy butter when we're making something that needs butter as the star of the dish.
I don't even put salt on my rice anymore.
Just reached levels that we can't comprehend.
Well, at least you won't be tempted toward this crime.
Men arrested with $1,000 in stolen butter. What is that? Like 2 sticks of butter? These
Yeah.
inflationary
It's
times?
Canadian dollars.
So 1 stick of butter then.
It makes me want bread and butter. That sounds good.
Can't do anything with that to transition into this.
Llama.
I got to say, the thing about this though that I can't get out of my mind is like how this thing has to stink, right?
Yeah, and it'll be pooping.
Yeah, I don't want a stinky llama loving on me
What an
before I get on
amazing
the.
transition.
And they also
Good luck.
spit.
You're about to get on a plane where people are going to be trapped in a tube with you, and you're going to smell like a llama.
Yeah.
Llama therapy at Portland Airport eases holiday travel stress. I feel like that this was a series of memos and a misunderstanding for what a large language model was. And it's like, we can have a large language model chatbot to ease holiday stress. And somehow they ended up with a real llama.
Yeah, why a llama and not like a cat or a dog or bunny rabbit?
Somebody watched The Emperor's New Groove from Disney.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, maybe they're getting ready to re-release a live one. This is a publicity stunt.
But here's the other thing to consider: does that llama want to be there?
No.
What about
Absolutely.
that llama's mental health?
What are farms thinking? New research shows that a surprising complexity in the minds of goats, pigs, and other livestock. As yes, we had goats to deal with the hillside when I was very, very young.
Look at them.
And they definitely had personalities, and they definitely you know, yeah, not surprising. They're also delicious.
Pigs are super smart.
Yeah, so they got this whole big facility, and all they're doing is just testing these animals' minds and trying to figure out how much they can understand.
GLaDOS.
They say it's they're smarter than we think.
Yeah, apparently they were not traditionally studied because they were just assumed to be dumb.
Krista, what is your lotion scent that you go for?
I like lavender a lot, but I don't wear, like, I usually do unscented. But I do like lavender.
What if I told you that there was one that would make you irresistibly attractive?
To spiders.
Body lotion accused of attracting giant spiders goes viral.
I saw this story and I was like, why?
It's literally just one person writing a fun review,
Yeah.
and somehow it caught on because people liked it. And so now they're desperately trying to fight this meme that is making people think that the spiders will attack.
Spider pheromones or something.
Someone did post and it was like, yeah, if you happen to have these two pheromones and you mix them together, male wolf spiders would be irresistibly attracted to you. And the company was like, we don't use those. Why are you
Too late.
doing this? How did this happen?
You kind of have to ride that wave, though, right? Like, you have to ride the wave because any publicity is good publicity.
How long before ad agencies employ people to come up with like that kind of thing for competitors? It's like, we're going to make a meme that's like, you know, the Arm & Hammer company, like the best
That already
ingredient is
exists.
ground up babies or whatever.
Store.level 1 text. All of our mugs are made with ground up boiler snake.
Well, over in India, they actually started to, they assigned special properties to something that didn't have them. And then later we find out that it was even more special than they could have imagined.
Sacred stones worshipped for generations in India turn out to be dinosaur
That's
eggs.
so cool. Dinosaur.
This is where we got the DNA.
Dinosaur DNA.
They've been worshiping them for a while, and I wonder if there was some ancient dinosaur god who's like, finally.
Somebody.
I don't know. I don't understand what these monkeys are saying, but at least they're remembering me.
Does it say what kind of dinosaur? Or is it just a dinosaur?
I don't remember what kind of dinosaur.
That's tragic.
I'm not sure you can tell, right?
I guess you have to crack one open, which is probably not
They,
ideal.
they might not be that well
They
preserved.
might be
Yeah.
fossilized. But here's a fun animal story, and this guy is
big.
big.
Bartlett police capture a giant beaver inside St. Francis Hospital.
I don't know.
And-
Can I
And there's
see
a
that?
picture. You got to see the picture.
News 3
we
did
go.
not waste any text on this story.
That is insane.
They're like, look at it.
There it is.
That's it.
It's a big beaver. You're going to go and you're going to take a look at it, and it is. It's not disappointing with its size.
We have beavers around here, but they're all very tiny. I've never seen a big one like that.
Well, listen, where is this? Memphis?
Wow.
Memphis, huge beavers. And this was not a Christmas miracle, but a Christmas nightmare,
This is a Grinch.
and possibly a revenge for all of his brethren.
The headline I would have chosen was something different, but the Newsweek headline is Wild Turkey cuts power to thousands of homes on Christmas Eve.
Like the alcohol?
Yeah. The headline I would have chosen is California power grid is so brittle, one errant turkey manages to sever power to 4,000 homes.
Well, he was wild.
It's buck wild.
I feel like there should be, like, the Public Utilities Commission should be fining the power company because it doesn't matter where you inject the one turkey. There's no way one turkey should be able to short out 4,000 homes. Someone has done something incorrectly. That's like, you know, I don't know, one insect taking out a 737.
Or like every time the wind blows, your power flickering.
Yeah, that's just, it's criminal, literally and figuratively.
Well, here's a terrifying story we've been following for a while, but we have a new milestone, and I wonder if maybe Pierce Brosnan, acting as James Bond, might have been trying to do something about this in his capacity as a secret agent.
Zombie deer disease endemic spreads in Yellowstone as scientists raise fear it may jump to humans. So this is chronic wasting disease, and this has been a problem for a long time.
They actually test for it along the borders of Kentucky when you try to bring a deer back when you're hunting. Not great. It's prion disease.
Yeah.
It will fold proteins.
And I was able to put together a subcategory this week with 4 stories about excrement. And the first one is hopeful.
Firm develops jet fuel made entirely from human poo. Kerosene, to be exact.
Are you telling that someone's going to pay me for my septic sludge?
I love the pictures, though. The BBC just did an amazing job with this. Look, these people are so happy. Like,
Well, you don't want to be frowning.
look at that guy. Look at him. Like, just look.
Oh.
He's got the bottom lip thing going. It's like we go from this. To
It's like,
this.
he's kind of like doing that.
Anybody seen my petri dish of human feces?
I mean,
I've misplaced it.
These guys are going to be wealthy because we have a lot of this.
But
I
right
mean,
now,
it's a renewable resource.
there's quite a bit of energy that has to be applied to it in order to transform the poop.
Listen, we don't talk about that.
So maybe now, if you could
Let's
get
play
like,
through jet fuel as well.
could you get a feedback loop of infinite energy where you use the poop to separate the poop?
No, I was thinking solar. So it sounded like that they would have pits of that were open and would use sunlight to catalyze the process into jet fuel, and then Bob's your uncle and all the jet fuel.
Well, I know one place where they could perhaps collect some of this natural resource.
Indian man urinating on train track dies after being hit by a flying cow. So a high-speed bullet train came by and hit a guy.
Hit a cow.
Well, hit a cow, and the cow hit the guy.
And how do we know this is what happened? Because there was another guy urinating on the train tracks who witnessed it. The train tracks is a popular spot in that town, it seems. And
What a
didn't-
picture they've picked for this story.
I didn't really understand exactly what went on here, but it sounds like they were standing at the urinal. Was you able to?
No. Lanelli, is that how you say that?
That seems
DJ
right.
Lay Brookfield admits to urinating on man at club.
Is it supposed to be Lee? But it's spelled like tragedy.
Like, was he just that drunk?
No, apparently that was a game that they played, him and his friends, where they would try to pee on someone without them noticing.
Ew.
But this guy was telling him, I got a feeling that the guy was drunk, and he was sort of like, hey, I have cancer and I'm dying.
Oh,
And as this guy was peeing on him, he was like, oh, that's so sad. But he was peeing on him on purpose. And he admitted to it because he was drunk.
I got a lot of questions. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I talk too much when I drink. But then there's people like this. And I'm like, maybe I'm not so bad.
I mean, as long as there's no urine involved.
Yeah.
And the greatest fecal related story and our final entry this week.
Chinese chess champion stripped of title after defecating in hotel bathtub. Now I'm gonna bring it back around to the hockey story. Imagine, since we don't have
Kill.
we don't have the outlet anymore for altercations shaking hands, there's going to be hockey players that defecate in a hotel bathtub.
And I don't know
I
if
bet there already have been.
I won't blame you if you didn't read every detail of this story, but it's actually the cheating is so much more impressive because they couldn't prove that he was cheating, but they suspected him of cheating. And it might be that the poop related stuff was just so they could punish him without proving that he was cheating. What they suspect was happening is that he had programmed an AI that could play this game. And the way that he was communicating with it was through vibrating anal beads.
Man, first it was regular chess and now it's this.
So not only did the vibrating anal beads alert him on what moves to make, but it was a two-way communication where he would clench and unclench to communicate in binary with the AI. Imagine how, in order to be able to do that, you have to practice it a lot, right?
As my cousin would say, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Well, he was trying.
I don't know. There's almost part of me that respects it, but
And it could also be related, like his incontinence later could be related.
yeah.
Now, Chad, here's the really exciting thing. In your lifetime, you're probably going to see somebody get an implant of something like an ESP32 directly onto their spinal column, hooked up to their nervous system. And then how are you going to catch that?
Well, we won't let the bionics play in these sports.
Metal detector? I don't know.
Yeah, you have to play in a Faraday cage wearing a foil suit. Just that'd be amazing. Here, you're gonna have to wear a foil bunny suit to put with chicken wire in the mask in order to play.
And unfortunately, we're going to have to insert the hose. The hose of fairness.
Let's do one last. Which would you choose?
Well, you probably
On
got some
that note.
donations, right?
He said it's like he described him as enigmatic, and it's like no, it was not. He was enigmatic. Oh,
Wear a pair of rubber gloves all day long or go barefoot all day long.
Well, it's much safer to wear the gloves.
Gloves, probably.
Although if I'm not leaving the house.
Yeah, I'd probably do barefoot.
There's so many super chats.
Hey.
Okay. Colossus, did you see? Okay, we did that one. That one's the one about Google firing 30,000 people due to AI. Juan Sato, thank you. High Level 1, love your show.
Thank you.
Paul the Bearded One, something Smoky Smoke, thanks for a year of mad stories and other stuff. Thank you. FE96, Fifi 96, it's Brussels, and Brussels
I got it.
is where a lot, well, he gave us €5, so like half.
I guessed wrong and you guessed right.
Is where a lot of EU institutions are located, but EU Parliament is split between Strasbourg and Brussels because EU.
Well, I knew it was BU. I didn't know. I suspected it might be the capital. Is it the largest city?
Aiden Wiggins, Happy New Year's. And when are we getting Plan 9 content? A Fifi 96, another. Oh, wait, did I get that? No, yeah. I said, well, maybe you gave us another $5. I don't know. Maybe I got it out of. It's where the EU institutions are located, but EU Parliament is split between, because EU. David Woodward, or maybe YouTube chat just being weird. I don't know. David Woodward, thank you. Product suggestion for level 1 store cable tester. No, the cable tester that we have was $15,000, and it is the minimum for what I would consider good cable testing, which helps me
I
do
don't
it.
think anyone else would buy that.
Yeah, it's a lot of debugging. Bright Tuck, 10 pounds, AI creep. Sounds like would be some level of self-aware and future dystopia. Yep. Next, $5. Are you going to do a few videos on things like a local llama setup? I did the beginnings of that with the search for the perfect machine learning setup, and you've got a CUDA setup on Windows, but the Linux side is much easier. Nocturnal 007, thank you for 420. FYI, Steamboat Willie. Yep. Ryland Bingham. Ryland. That's a very Kentucky name.
Ryland.
Do you all make more Google dollars if we don't skip ads? Probably slightly.
But also don't feel compelled.
Holiday
You just go on Patreon or buy something from the store.
Holiday Jester with Kung Fu Grip. Happy New Year's to the crew. Have you all ever been asked to build a website that wouldn't make it past the parental filter? Wink, wink. If so, how awkward was that conversation? Way back in college and right after college, yes, but not since then. Haven't needed to. David Thomas, the only cheating ESP implants is the video, the one set up with Ubuntu. You gave money earlier. Good joke. Mini J Forever, any plans to list on LTT store? I hear they're looking into an EU warehouse. If they do an EU warehouse, that
might be worth it because the shipping is outrageous to the EU. We know it sucks. We're sorry. We don't have a warehouse over there, so it has to ship from the US.
There's a lot of crazy stuff with compliance for the EU for doing electronics, but the way that we're set up now, we're so tiny that we've
flown under the radar.
Not that we've flown under the radar, but there's actually exceptions for companies that are as small as we are selling electronics, and they don't expect that, and so it's sort of weird. Holiday Jester, it's like Happy New Year's to the crew. Love you all. Have you ever been asked? Oh yeah, we did that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Are we caught up?
Oh, I think we're caught up.
We're caught up.
Look at that. All right.
Dab on them.
Does anybody have any final questions before we go? Is there anything else that we want to chat about? Oh, search for the happy stories. Look for the.
Oh yeah, 1,000 happy stories. It was on. We put it in the message thing.
Last story of the first episode of the year. I got to show you the story. It's a story of stories.
Of just happy stories.
There's like 1,000 things there. You got to see.
So you can get a palate cleanser after all the despair.
You have to see
and
this,
the marketing.
Chat. It is incredible because a lot of these stories we covered in the past, but these are cherry picking the best ones, and this is a great note to end on.
I try to find happy stories every week, but there's so few now.
Wasn't it 100?
Yeah.
Thousands. Millions even.
This is where we were reminded that Google search doesn't work. Is this it? Gapminder?
Let me look.
I'm sure it's similar.
Oh
no, they can hear it.
Let me fix it.
Stop it. Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. Fix it. I don't remember what site we saw it on.
I'm not finding it. CNN's top 100?
No, I don't think it was CNN. Because the CNN will probably be a lot of sad stuff.
It was humanprogress.org. 1,000 bits of good news you may have missed in 2023.
Oh, 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Found it.
A gazillion.
1,000.
Smash that like button.
You did 100.
It found it.
Yeah. Okay. So chat, check this out.
I mean, it's hard for them to see.
Well, it's humanprogress.org. Look at that. Future fish farming on land. I think we covered that one. Growing them on land.
Oysters. I'm not a big oyster consumer.
Farming robots.
Was that
We
the
talked
oyster
about-
one about how they're using it to filter water? That might be what that
Remember,
was.
no, the lasers that would blast the weeds.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So we don't have to use chemicals anymore. We can just have this giant laser thing that's like, we don't want this. We don't want that. Also, I learned that clover. Is it clover? Clover is the lawn care companies convinced everybody that was a weed, but that used to be really common in everybody's yard.
It used to be in the grass mix.
Yeah. When the flowers in it, bees like it, so it's actually a very good
Do you know the reason?
cover crop as well.
You know why they told us that? Because the broadleaf pesticides would kill it. And they wanted to sell us broadleaf pesticides, but they're like, they might be a little weird if it kills part of their lawn.
Yeah.
And we sold them that, so they can't associate our products with weeds. What do we do? So the answer was clovers must be destroyed.
$10. It's like, what happened to Devember? I didn't have time to do Devember.
Yeah,
we didn't
Lack
do
of
it.
participation.
We didn't have a ton of stuff last year.
2022 Devember was just the saddest thing ever. So
It was pretty good, I thought. We had there was a couple of good projects. Did you see the new theory where they suggest instead of dark matter, we are surrounded by micro black holes and they are the reason for the unexplained gravity in the universe?
Ban
I
that, man.
did see that.
Yeah.
No, I remember because it was the black holes were getting inside of the stars and
Yeah, messing with stuff.
so food. Now I've been reading about this. Apparently, all the predictions about food doom are not playing out.
That's good.
We're getting record amounts of like rice and stuff.
We got lucky
good.
too. In the West, we've had a lot of rain, and so the reservoirs are filling up at least for now. They're
Is-
still at a deficit, but they're not as bad as what they thought.
Is genetic modification really a subheading we want in our 1,000 best things?
Yeah, I don't think that's great.
I mean, it's not necessarily bad. The genetic
CRISPR wants to feed the world. I mean,
Crispy Silicon gave us $10. It says, thanks for the great morning. Just what I need to face the new year. Well, you're welcome. We needed you to face the new year too, as it turns out.
Indoor farming. I mean, I guess that's a good idea.
That's a
Since
cool
we're-
idea.
Because we can't go outside because of the ticks, right?
I don't like
We
the
have
outside. It's
we
unfair.
have some indoor farming stuff around Kentucky, and it's kind of a mixed bag, but it's not a bad idea. I think
No.
It's just poorly implemented.
Lab grown meats. I don't know if this is the best news we had.
That's good news for Wendell.
Yeah.
You shut your mouth.
No, because it's the protein that you can't have, right?
I don't really. So of all the fake meat that I've had, I haven't really liked any of it. I really do like the black bean stuff.
There's the bingo square.
Yeah.
Black beans.
Black bean patties. They're nice.
Pollination
Was it the robot one?
vaccines for bees.
Oh, they didn't do the story. We did the robot pollination that we did. We covered that earlier this year. Other innovations. I can't read those from here.
Cooling pads. Basically, they're just, here's palm oil. Hey. Seed oil news. Big cats. I mean, I'm for anything that helps big cats.
Cougars are heading east. They used to be in our region, but during the 1800s, they were hunted to extinction. If you believe local stories, there is still a black cat that roams the hills of Powell County, Kentucky.
I think they're actually talking about older women who want to have sex.
They're coming east. They're coming into your area.
Yeah, because like California and Texas, there's the big exodus. So
Yeah.
they're trying to find new
New lands.
victims over here.
Slow Hardware asks, am I still using the W3175X build? I still have it. It's still put together. I just brought it into the office because I'm going to migrate everything onto another system. But I was using it at home. Have a great 2024. Thank you for being the most palatable news channel from Crunchy Eater.
Thank you.
Oh, gender equality. How important is this? Saudi Arabia. Now, I remember reading about Saudi Arabia doing some very not gender equality related stuff.
Well,
this
listen,
year.
sometimes you got to sneak some things in here to round out your 1,000.
Women in Sierra Leone can finally own land.
Good job, Sierra Leone.
Americans largely satisfied with their personal life. I don't think that's true.
I'm mostly satisfied with my personal life, I think.
We've got some LGBT. That's certainly been, they've had some major advances in 2023. Treatment of animals. Oh, yeah. Remember the male chickens? They get ground up.
Yeah.
That's sad. Apparently, that we've got something that's going to help that.
There's an upside for that, apparently.
contraception for female cats, but then they still go into heat and destroy things, right?
But if you have, like in my case, where we have random cats show up, it would be great if I could just get a couple shots and hit one of them.
But it's annual. You can do that every year.
If it means less kittens wandering around my property, yeah. They're cute, but I don't want to deal with them.
That's probably not also not cheaper than the current stuff though. Like
Yeah, probably not.
Look,
Well, I can't even get them into a free clinic because they're filled up for months at a time.
All the fake battery stories are in.
Yeah.
They've also got the story about the
Superconductor?
No, the
Is that
serum for dogs, because there's the thing that stops working in dogs, which is largely responsible for their mortality, is also a genetic fix.
Oh, yeah.
And they have the story about the drug in there. So your dogs can live forever. At least the big species of dog, you can go from 10 years to 25 or 30.
As they suffered with arthritis for the
Yeah.
last 10.
Rue's getting a little gray beard around her nose.
AI predicts how many earthquakes and aftershocks will strike. Didn't Japan just get hit
Yeah.
by a massive one? Did someone see that coming? Did AI call that? School enrollment has risen drastically in Western and Central Africa. Meanwhile, in America, they can't do math.
I mean, they're enrolled in school.
Why do we have to find the negative in all the positive stories?
Because it's fake. It's fake news. Global
Employment
wealth
rate.
rises and inequality falls. That's not true, right? Don't we have record inequality in almost every country at this point?
I don't know. Chris Presley says, don't got to read this one. Thank you guys for all the links and the content that doesn't make me feel stupid after watching. Happy New Year.
Don't have to read this one. Better read it out loud. Thank you.
Tech leaders emerge behind plan to build new city near
That was
California.
to me. Sorry, I'm the stupid one.
Oh,
That was, remember, that's what did they call that city where they were trying to buy up all the farmland? That's not a good story. I don't think that they curated this list very well. Human progress.
A holiday jester if aliens landed on Earth, what subreddit would you choose to represent humanity?
probably a crafting one because those are usually pretty like chilled out. They're not angry. People are just having a good time.
Part of me wants to troll them with like the less wrong, the Yudkowskian like less wrong people followers.
Am I the asshole?
Yeah.
These people are crazy. I refuse to believe any of those stories are real.
Hank Hilly Keeble, thank you.
Thank you.
YouTube cut it off.
It didn't give us a message there.
I don't know.
Maybe you didn't type one.
It's all good. Thank you for hanging out this week. I hope the first week of your stuff is off to a good start. Check out store.level1tax.com. Most of the KVMs are in stock. Bye.
Bye. Happy
Oh,
New
was it
Year.
ready?
Oh, I have to get the thing. Yeah.
Oh, you can stop it from there.
Yeah. So, well, no, you got to hit stop, and then it's like, okay, we're
Oh,
done.
okay. I'm
just gonna keep
Thank you for
waving.
hanging out, and we'll engage with you later.
See how
Next
long-
week, as a matter of fact.
Let's see how long we make her wait.
Or mildly interesting. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Keep waving.
Keep going.